Chapter 1225. In the end, everything came to an end. With the evidence, even if Hong Jie didn't say anything, he couldn't escape his crimes. Back then, he and his daughter concubine, he had used a special method to take away Chu Xiemo, who had just been born. If it wasn't for the fact that the assassin had shown mercy, everything would have been set in stone. In the end, concubine, he was different from her father. She was too lazy to refute anything. After all these years of living in the palace, she was very clear that there was no difference whether she died or not. The emperor never loved her. A woman who entered the palace could have no children, but they couldn't not have the love of a man. She had spent countless days and nights in the ice-cold palace. She was tired, anxious, and even wanted to kill herself. This kind of result was probably a kind of relief for her. When she was locked up and dressed in prison clothes, she turned and asked the emperor a question. "Emperor, if there wasn't the matter of the crown prince, would you give this concubine a bit of love?" After a while, the emperor calmly looked at her and replied, "I wouldn't." Ha ha ha. What followed was a bitter laugh from imperial concubine He. She tugged at the corners of her lips as she said one last sentence. This Chia knew that the emperor would never love this Chia. So this Chia and father kidnapped the crown prince. Now I don't regret it at all. Not a single. Regret it at all. In the end, on account of Hong Jie's contributions to the court, he didn't kill his entire family. He just exiled them to the northwest, never to return to Long Peace City. Actually, everyone knew that this decision wasn't as satisfying as killing them. These days, Luo Qingshan found that she was in a daze, because she had jumped from the Sixth King's precious princess to the crown prince's wife. Chu Shimo's identity really was something she never expected. The crown prince. So the reason why he wanted her to stand by his side was because of this. Gilded Pavilion. Luo Qingshan was wearing an ice blue robe with gold and silver embroidered clouds, leisurely drinking a cup of Bai Luo Chan. A princess really is a princess. You adapt to life in the palace faster than anyone else. Chu Shimo's gentle voice came from outside, with a trace of pampering in it. She held the teacup and nodded slightly. She was a little stunned. It was probably because she hadn't seen him for a few days, so she wasn't too used to his flowing brocade robes. After all, he was really too dazzling. It was as if he was the king of the world. His arrogant gaze changed from that of a young emperor of the sea to that of a noble prince. It was just a change of identity, but it actually made Chu Xiemo look this good. It was a refreshing and irresistible beauty. "Silly girl, why are you in a daze?" He raised his right hand and flicked the space between her eyebrows. "It's like I've never seen you before. I've never seen him before." Luo Qingshan's eyebrows moved slightly. She poured a cup of tea for him and said, "I always feel that you are very different from before." "How is it different?" "More steady." Luo Qingshan held her cheek with her right hand as she looked at him and asked, "Actually, you should have been born to be a king." With Chu Shimo's abilities, even if he didn't become a pirate, he would have enjoyed endless wealth in his life. But he was willing to use this ability to walk on the edge of a blade every second, saving the poor people from fire and water. Now, she suddenly found that. Chapter 1226. I helped them because I almost starved to death when I was a child. Chu Xiemo took her hand out of habit and had her come to his side as he calmly recalled. There was an old woman at that time. I can't remember what she looked like, but she gave me a biscuit. Zai. Luo Qingshan had a faint smile as she said, "You became a pirate because of this." He thought for a long time before saying, becoming a pirate was purely an opportunity. The old woman's child was taken by pirates, and I wanted to save her son, but I never thought that I would kill the leader of the pirates. She couldn't help saying with a chuckle, "It seems like the emperor's title is all based on luck. It seems like you don't want to be my crown princess anymore." He gently held her waist with a devilish smile on his face. That kind of look was the exclusive mark of the sea's emperor. You wouldn't be the legendary one who abandoned his wife after becoming successful. Woo! Before she could finish speaking, a cool kiss landed on her pink lips. It was still as overbearing and domineering as it was at the beginning. It was still as passionate and affectionate as it was at the beginning. He used the most direct method to answer her question. It could only be said that this was very Chu Shiamo. He gently let go and softly hugged her. But it's true that I'm not the princess. Because you are the one who will be the empress. What? Over the next hour, Chu Shiamo told her how busy he had been over the past few days. But even if he was busy, he would still return to the gilded pavilion every night. Although most of the time, she was already asleep. His royal parents were a couple who had reached the twilight of their love. In their eyes, the matters of the court would only affect their love. This fast. After hearing Chu Shimao's explanation, Luo Qingshan was a bit unhappy. It was no wonder the maids had been gossiping about the new batch of harem girls entering the palace. These harem girls weren't prepared for the emperor, but rather for Chu Shiamo. Could it be that when people had the chance to have 3 wives and 3,000 beauties, they couldn't control the throbbing of their hearts? What? Chu Shimao's dark eyes looked at her angry little face and said, "Our wife can't be the empress. The matter of the empress is for later." Luo Qingshan's eyes trembled as a faint Liguang look appeared in her clear eyes. "I've heard that there will be a new batch of harem girls." "Oh." Chu Shimao's eyes filled with smiles as he said, "Perhaps it's because I've been too busy recently, so Eunuch Lu didn't tell me about this matter." Chu Shimao's answer was very well. But Luo Qingshan, he listened to, understood. "You. All right." Chu Shiamo softly patted her head. "Everything will wait until after the coronation and empress coronation. Then we'll care about these trivial matters." Trivial matters? In her eyes, this was clearly the most important thing, all right. Chapter 12:27. 3 days later, at the empress conferring ceremony, she was wearing a large red dress with a 100-flower pattern, and her hair was in a double loop bun, with a large jade hairpin on her head. Chu Shiamo took her hand and looked at her white as snow face and red lips. This was a very solemn ceremony, but when Chu Shiamo looked at her, she suddenly wanted to laugh. She felt that this empress conferring ceremony was different from when she was on Blood Blue Island. When she was in a daze, Chu Shiamo lowered his head and whispered in her ear, "Because it's you, I need this identity to let you stand by my side." Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 100%. These were probably the most beautiful words of love she had ever heard in this plane. Luo Qingshan gave a soft laugh and lowered her head in embarrassment. The blush on her face spread to her ears, captivating her young girl's heart. Although she really didn't care if she was the wife of a pirate or the empress. Actually, as long as that person was him, she only had one identity. That was his wife. After the empress conferring ceremony, the previous emperor and empress went to the mountain villa to live the life of an immortal couple. Chu Shiamo was unprecedentedly busy. After he sat on the dragon throne, he immediately sent people to Blood Blue Island to pick up the brothers who had gone through life and death with him. Luo Qingshan also knew about this, but Qing Wei wasn't among them, and Jiyu's corpse had disappeared. No one knew where she had gone, nor did they know whether she was alive or dead. To be honest, Luo Qingshan didn't care if she was dead or alive. If she had to choose, she would rather die. After all, the news she revealed didn't just kill Jiyu. Perhaps Jiyu could forgive her, but those people who died in vain couldn't forgive her. During these days, because Chu Shiamo was very busy, Luo Qingshan didn't stay in the palace most of the time. When she had nothing to do, she would dress up as a man to go out or go back to her mother's house to play. But she didn't know that when she came back, the palace had changed. Chu Shiamo gave the matters of the harem girls to Eunuch Lu, and Eunuch Lu was quite active. While she wasn't in the palace, she had already arranged the rooms for those beauties. In a fit of anger, she went straight to Chu Junting to drink away her sorrows. "Tell me, isn't your brother going overboard by doing this? It hasn't been long since the coronation ceremony ended. He actually, calm down. Chu Junting looked a bit anxious. Her eyes flashed as she absent-mindedly said, Big brother probably doesn't know about this." Chu Junting. Yes. In the next second, Luo Qingshun lifted her wine glass and threw it in the direction of the screen. Ouch! With a scream, a white-faced scholarly man walked out. He was wearing a light gray robe and looked a little familiar. You are not Su Cheng. Luo Qingshun's right hand tapped the table out of habit as she looked at him with a bit of doubt in her eyes. In the middle of the night, you're in the princess room. Empress, don't misunderstand. Su Cheng was clearly very nervous as he quickly said, "This isn't related to the princess. It was this minister who broke into the Miao Yin pavilion in the middle of the night. I asked the empress to punish me." Chapter 1228. Don't. Chu Junting looked at her with a spoiled look. Io, can't you see through it and not say it? What's wrong with Su Cheng? Do you think he isn't worthy of you? Of course not. Then why are you acting so shy? I'm just afraid. Chu Junting thought about it before saying, Big brother wanted to choose a husband for me a few days ago and chose those with martial arts. She naturally knew what Chu Xianmo meant by doing this, but the choices of others couldn't compare to her own. She liked Su Cheng's wisdom, his knowledge of the country's matters, his love for the people, and his modesty. Those with martial arts. Luo Qingshun knit her brows, feeling it was a bit strange. Why was Chu Xianmo planning Chu Junting's marriage? Wasn't he very busy recently? Logically speaking, he shouldn't care about these things. Put your matters aside for now. Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes. I feel that your big brother is playing a big game of chess, and we're all trapped in it. It wasn't unreasonable for her to say this. The next morning, when she was preparing to return to the gilded pavilion in men's clothes, she met the new batch of harem girls. How to say it, there were all kinds of beauties, some good and some bad. Among them, the most beautiful one was probably the governor's daughter, Tao Ying. She was dressed in a moon-blue robe embroidered with lotus silk. She walked at the front, her eyes constantly looking around. Eunuch Lu wasn't by her side, so these people should have snuck out by themselves. Although Luo Qingshun didn't like them, she was wearing men's clothes and was too lazy to care about them. Just as she was about to brush past them, Tao Ying called out to her. Out of sight, out of mind. That servant, come over and help me. I want to pick the flowers on it. Luo Qingshun gave a cold laugh. Although he was wearing men's clothes, that didn't mean he was a eunuch, all right? These people hadn't entered the palace before. They didn't know what eunuch clothes looked like. Since the other side was stirring up trouble, she might as well solve it all at once, since her heart had been blocked. She slowly turned around and said, What flowers if you're not tall enough? Is there a problem with your head? Are you jealous that the flower is beautiful? What are you talking about? That's right, you slave. Hurry up and apologize to Sistering. At this moment, before Tao Ying could speak, the two people standing next to her couldn't wait to speak for her. It turned out that most of these harem girls were originally from noble families and were doted on by their parents at home. It was fine for them to be a little arrogant. However, this was the imperial palace. No wonder there were so many beautiful young ladies in ancient times who were bestowed with 10 feet of red not long after entering the imperial palace. It turned out that they were all brainless. You look like your new servant. Tao Ying rolled her eyes proudly. Her eyes filled with disdain as she said, You don't know the rules. It's a good thing you met me. Your master didn't teach you how to be a servant. Let me teach you. It was probably because she was the governor's daughter that Tao Ying raised her right hand almost at the same time, wanting to slap her. However, Luo Qingshun was someone who had been slapped every 2 or 3 days. How could she really let her slap her? She caught it firmly and used a little strength in her right hand. Looking at her, she said, Tao Ying, right? I've seen you in a portrait before. You're really ugly. Chapter 1229. There was a gedong sound. It would have been better if she didn't say this. As soon as she said this, her hand was dislocated by Luo Qingshun. What is so noisy in front? Chu Xianmo had a faint smile in his deep eyes as he looked at Eunuch Lu on the side and asked this. It should be one of the harem girls running out. Eunuch Lu was a bit nervous, planning on rushing forward to clear the obstacle. Chu Xianmo looked at him and said, This one will go. On the other side, Luo Qingshun looked at Tao Ying with a cold gaze. Her right hand loosened as she looked at her and said, Full of servant. Do you really think that you are the master of the harem? Dog servant, if I become the master of the harem in the future, I will definitely kill all 9 generations of your family. Tao Ing tightly gritted her teeth as her face filled with rage. At this time, Chu Xiamo slowly came forward and said in a low and deep voice, "Does killing all 9 generations of my family count this one?" EMP, EMP, Emperor. Everyone was shocked and immediately fell to the ground. Tao Inger, who had dislocated her hand, was also kneeling on the ground. She looked at Chu Xiamo with a tear-stained face as she said, "Emperor, you have to make a decision for this humble girl, this servant." Eunuch Lu heard this and suddenly came forward to give a heavy slap. Bold, actually calling the Empress a servant. Do you know that this is a capital crime? A crime that will kill all 9 generations of your family. Hiss! At this moment, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Tao Ing looked at Luo Qingshun in disbelief. Her face turned pale, and even her lips couldn't stop trembling. I've heard that this person is the Emperor's new harem girl. Luo Qingshun crossed her arms and looked at Chu Xiamo with a strong aura. Your eyes really aren't that good. No. This humble girl has eyes but can't see. Harem girl. Chu Xiamo completely ignored Tao in air and lovingly patted Luo Qingshun's head. Isn't this a maid? Everyone was shocked by Chu Xiamo's words, even including Luo Qingshun. His eyes, which were as deep as the sea, stared at her with a smile that could not be concealed on his lips. It was as if everything was going according to his plan and under his control. The next second, Eunuch Lu hurriedly added, Yes. These palace maids are too insensible. Send them to the laundry." Chu Xiamo gently took Luo Qingshun's waist, but his eyes were incomparably cold as he looked at Tao Yinger's group. If anyone feels that the punishment is too severe and wants to complain to their family, today's matter will be dealt with according to the country's laws. You can kill those who should be punished, and your 9 familial relations won't be let off. As soon as he finished speaking, he took her hand and turned to walk towards the gilded pavilion. She walked as she looked at him and asked, "This is what you planned?" Without knowing why, she vaguely felt that he was making a big plan behind her back, a plan that everyone was kept in the dark. This? He didn't directly answer her. He just asked with a faint smile, "What do you think of Su Cheng as a person?" Well-read, full of wisdom, and talented. Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes, but in terms of strength, it's a bit low. Chapter 1230. Luo Qingshun never thought that Chu Xiamo's big game would include everyone, including his good little sister and Su Cheng. After all, Chu Xiamo didn't plan on taking the throne. The only reason he wanted to accept the throne was because of the coronation ceremony. He had said that he wanted her to stand by his side legitimately. To have a position that all the women on the continent couldn't compare to, this was his only goal in coming to this thick palace. 3 months later, Su Cheng and Chu Junting got married. After the wedding, Chu Xiamo gave the throne to Su Cheng. Although the emperor was a bit unhappy, he didn't object because of Su Yuan and his daughter. After all, he was an emperor who took emotions as his subjective consciousness. It could be seen from the fact that he built a harem for a girl. After everything was handed over, Chu Xiamo hired a boat and brought 2 large boxes of things. One box was filled with silver, and the other was filled with Luo Qingshun's clothes. "You really want to go to Blood Blue Island?" Chu Junting looked at them with an unwilling look. "You could be like father and mother, finding a mountain resort. Why do you have to go to a broken island?" Chu Junting was clearly very unhappy. She felt that her big brother was back, her best sister was back. They could finally play together and have fun together. She never thought that everyone would suddenly leave. Even her father and mother would leave. Cool. Luo Qingshun tapped the moon glass fan in her right hand a few times before looking at them. "That isn't a broken island. You'll know when you have a chance." I won't. Chu Junting pouted. "You're leaving me." As soon as her voice fell, she turned to leave in a huff. Leaving behind Su Cheng with a helpless and pampering look, he turned to them and cupped his hands. "Have a safe trip. Leave this to me. If you feel that I'm not good one day, You can impeach me at any time. Since I'm leaving, it means that I believe in your character and your future decisions. Chu Xiamo looked at him and said, Be good to Jun Ting and see the Emperor and Empress Dowager when you're free. Take care. These were the last words Su Cheng said to him. In the next few decades, Chu Xiamo and Luo Qingchen never returned to Long Peace City. Even when they left Blood Blue Island to buy things, they only went to the villages. The waves blew, and Luo Qingchen took his arm, tilting her head as she said, Actually, I was also curious. Why did you have to leave Long Peace City? Fool! Chu Xiaomo's brows relaxed as he looked at her, with a pampering look in his dark eyes. A mountain can't hold two tigers. Although Su Cheng is a good person, his heart after sitting for a long time. Chu Shi and beauty, he's after all, and his heart is after all, after 20, Hishishimo's right after 20 years. Addicted to metaphysics and beauty, addicted to immortality, it was like 20 years had become a threshold for him. Or perhaps there was news of Luo Qingchen's death on some island. In this life, she did not live for long. But in this ancient era, she could be considered to have lived to an average age of death. Although Chu Xiamo couldn't accept this so-called reality in the end. The sea breeze at night was very cold, and the girl in his embrace was wearing a moon-white pleated dress. Her hands were crossed, and there was a moon glass fan in front of her chest that was releasing a mint scent. Chapter 1231. I didn't intend to come to Long Peace City, but your appearance made me feel that the best thing that happened to me was meeting you. Chu Xiamo. Since I could remember, I was an orphan. The world was my home. It really wasn't just a saying. But it was a good thing that I met a group of brothers, and one of them was Jiyu. In the beginning, we weren't pirates, we just robbed those rich kids who got drunk every night. Those people were always fat, they were simple-minded, and their limbs were dull. At first, we didn't have any plans. Then our numbers gradually increased, and we planned to form an organization. Although there were many rich people in Long Peace City, it was still dangerous under the Emperor's feet. In the end, we changed our target to the sea. Each time we hijacked an official ship, it was a gamble of life and death, but I was never afraid. It was probably because there was a strange feeling in my heart that victory belonged to me. Until one time, I was exposed when I went to Long Peace City and almost became a ghost under the blades of the soldiers. At that time, I met someone. She lived in a good room, and even the dishes she ordered were the expenses of a normal person for a month or even several months. I could guess that she was someone from the court, but I never thought that she was the 6th king's daughter, and I never thought that she would leave me behind. At that moment, I suddenly felt that I was very small. The young emperor of the sea, in front of these nobles, he was nothing more than a pirate. I told myself that I couldn't owe a favor to a government official. If there was a chance, I would return it. This chance didn't come quickly, but it was right on time. When I met her again, the one standing beside her was her fiancé. He looked like a fake young master. I wasn't mocking him, but letting his wife stay as a hostage really wasn't the behavior of a good man. Of course, I didn't show myself the entire time. When we returned to Blood Blue Island, I didn't show myself. I hadn't cooked in a long time, made a meal for her, and she remembered who I was. Even if I thought that her so-called fiancé wouldn't come to redeem her, I never wanted to hurt her. She wanted to return to Long Peace City, so I sent her back. If she wanted to stay, I wouldn't stop her. But even if Lin Ruo Jing didn't come, she didn't plan on staying. Although he was a little unhappy, he wasn't sad. I gave her the fireworks as a reward for saving my life, and she accepted it. However, I never thought that we would meet again less than 3 days after the gift was given. He vaguely remembered that the waves were very big that day. She held a peep in her hand, but she did not have the slightest bit of fear in the wind and rain. She sang a soul-stirring song. The part that fascinated me the most was the line, "I still remember the oath we made in our previous life." I want to say it, but I have no words. He hated the fact that he didn't know him. At that moment, I actually felt that she was singing this song especially for me, telling me about her past lives and her current lives. She remembered. I forgot. For the first time, his heart throbbed inexplicably. For the first time, he wanted to understand a woman. For the first time, what did it feel like to be moved? I think she's changed. Previously, when they were on the island, she kept mentioning her fiancé, but after that, she almost never mentioned him again. I guess that she probably knew something after returning to Chang'an. Chapter 1232. Although when she talked to me, I always felt like I had met my match. But that kind of feeling made one's heart burn from time to time. For example, choosing a date was better than choosing a date. I suddenly realized that I had fallen in love with this feeling. It was a feeling of knowing what the other person was thinking just by looking at each other. After meeting again, everything went very smoothly. For example, Lin Ruo Jing actually came and we invited him to the wedding banquet. The only thing I didn't expect was that Qing Wei betrayed me. I was very happy that I didn't have her come with me. There were times when people's premonitions of danger were very accurate. I was afraid something would happen to her, so I put her in the safest position. That way, no matter what kind of danger we met on the sea, I wouldn't panic. I didn't expect Qing Wei's betrayal, but proved one thing. Su Yuan told me about my identity. That was the thing I despised the most, but I really wanted to have it at this moment. After all, the person standing in front of me was Lin Ruo Jing, her previous fiancé. I wanted to use a special method to completely crush him, and at the same time, I wanted to give her a special identity. Perhaps that identity wouldn't be below 10,000 people, but it would be unique. For me, it was unique. On the square, I didn't say anything when Su Yuan came. From beginning to end, I didn't say a single word to Lin Ruo Jing. I didn't even look at him. At that time, I was thinking that the position I was in now was a height that you could never reach in your entire life. The one standing beside me was my wife, my empress, the only person who could be the mother of the world. As for you, Lin Ruo Jing, you were just a person who was about to die. Everything went smoothly, the coronation ceremony and the coronation ceremony. I stood in the center of the officials, having the highest power in the world. The woman standing beside me was the only wife of the emperor. No one would look down on the sixth king's daughter for marrying a pirate. They would only envy her for being the only favorite in the harem. But actually, I didn't want her to stay in the thick-walled red brick harem. This was because the emperor was too busy, and I wasn't willing to leave her alone. It took me 3 whole months to deal with everything. The rest of the trivial matters were left to Eunuch Lu. Speaking of which, it was quite funny. He actually recruited a group of harem girls, angering her half to death. No, she should be the one who angered those beauties half to death. I liked her occasional tsundere look, I liked her jealous look, and I even liked her cross-dressing. Because I feel that no matter what she looks like, she looks good. After saying goodbye to everyone, the two of us headed to the now empty blood blue island. The weather was warm and the sky was blue. We stood on the deck with the sea breeze blowing in our faces. I asked her a question that had been on my mind for a long time. Wife, did you like Lin Ruo Jing back then? After a long time, she wanted to say something, but I interrupted her. Well, I suddenly don't want to know. As soon as I finished speaking, I gently pulled her into my embrace. Although I really wanted to know the answer, at this moment, she was already standing firmly beside me. Those answers might not be that important anymore. She gave 2 soft laughs in my embrace. Anyway, I didn't. Long Peace City was too beautiful. Perhaps you were just a strand of it, but I just wanted to find that strand and leave. Chapter 1233. Welcome back, host. Welcome back again, host. Welcome back again, host. Got it. Luo Qingxun scratched her temple, feeling a bit dizzy. She didn't know how she died at all. She just knew that she was very sleepy in the last part of her life. Lying on the beach after eating and basking in the sun, it was very warm and comfortable. The host can choose to watch the scene after your death. Yes/no. Yes. For the system that she was already familiar with, she would save as much as she could most of the time. The originally chaotic bronze mirror gradually became clear. It was a dreamlike sea. The sea breeze blew across their faces, and Chu Xiemo softly held her, as his eyes looked a bit empty. He slightly raised his hand, and his slender fingers softly brushed across her cheek. His dark eyes looked at her with a gentle gaze as he said, searching and searching, another life of drunken stupor. But you should wait for me, because I just finished building my own coffin. Luo Qingxun, standing in front of the bronze mirror, suddenly trembled when she heard the last two words. Those two words were like a song that passed through time, entering her ears bit by bit. Instantly, her breathing stopped. It was probably because Chu Xiamo felt that her body wasn't good recently, so he wanted to leave with her. But she didn't wait for him to finish building the coffin before closing her eyes. Enough. She looked up slightly, but the tears in her eyes didn't fall. There was a deep sigh that came from the chaotic space. Her clear eyes trembled as she said, "Continue." The following is a summary of the data for this mission. Host, please properly look over it. Name, Luo Qingchen Space. Young Emperor of the Sea. Holding the Princess High. Mission completion rate. 100%. There are currently 4 items in the EXP spatial storage. Full. Exquisite Ring. 9-section Moon Whip. Moon Glass Fan. Permanent abilities. Space and Time Freeze Level 1 exchange points. 15,000 base points. 40. The host's 23rd mission panel is below. Appearance, Stamina, Intelligence, Figure. The bronze mirror changed pages. Mission grade, B. EXP gained, 500. Acquired, I'm the prettiest mirror. Female lead. Luo Qingchen, dust floating in the world. Male lead. Yi Qian Hun, half-world held soul, supporting female lead. He Miao Ling, young beauty, supporting male lead. Yu Lin, handsome, cannon fodder. Feng Wuyu, woo 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 woo. I just want to ask, what the hell is this my most beautiful mirror? Luo Qingchen squinted her eyes and carefully looked at the words on the bronze mirror again. She was obviously confused. As long as the host asks it, "Mirror, mirror, who is the most beautiful person in this world?" it will say you. What's the use? Effects are as follows. Numb oneself, dazzling, and pretentious. No need to say anything else. Let's just start. Luo Qingchen felt like she had lost the motivation to complete the mission before she even started. Recently, the system had been acting more and more like a hooligan. Not only were the things it gave out more and more broken, but they were also things that were completely useless. It simply couldn't compare to the bronze mirror that only glowed all day. At least it could see things that she couldn't see. The system helplessly spread its hands, looking very aggrieved. Mission content. Return to 3 days before the female lead died and obtain the love of the male lead, Yi Qianhan. Side mission. Help the cannon fodder Feng Wuyu find her true love. Chapter 1234. After seriously accepting the previous host's memories, Luo Qingchen thought, it really is annoying. When the previous host was 15, she was instigated by her classmates during the summer vacation and came into contact with an electronic game. It was called League of Legends. The previous host's classmates thought, I'm a great god, and the previous host is a little cabbage, so they wanted to show off in the world of computers. They never thought that after 3 rounds, the previous host would find that she had the talent to play this game. Moreover, it was a very high talent. For games, especially electronic games, only people with talent could reach the peak. Normal people could only be excellent even if they worked hard. The previous host's classmates never thought that after 3 rounds, the previous host would go from a little cabbage to a big thigh, leading her classmates all the way through. In the end, after half a month, the previous host used Annie, mage, to reach the king level. Of course, she only led her classmates to diamond. After all, a hole could overturn a good game. In League of Legends, the ranks were bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, master, and finally king. There were holes in each rank, and there were quite a few haters who went against the wind. But the original owner had never responded to a single word. Until one day, she played a match out of boredom and met the supporting male, lead Yu Lin, and the supporting female, lead He Miao Ling. Yu Lin's rank was greatest king, and He Miao Ling was only diamond. At the beginning of the match, He Miao Ling typed in the game, "Our side, exquisite beauty. I'm just a support. Male god, carry me. Our side, king of chariots, yo. It's a girl. Big brother will carry you. Our side, jade tree facing the wind. Can you shut up? You're not embarrassed to flirt with girls after being suppressed 20 times? Our side, king of chariots. You're king, you're awesome. The host didn't participate in their conversation until the middle of the battle, when the head count reached 521. Pretty young girls. 0-10-2 King of Chariots. 0-7-0 Jade, tree, facing the wind. 220 Dust floating in the world. 3-0-0 Unknown passerby. 0-2-0. Opening the tap and looking at the data panel, it was clear that this match couldn't be reversed. But the previous host had the crafty enchantress and was a bit powerless in the face of the large gap in equipment. At this time, Miao Ling clicked on the surrender button and typed in the team. Our side, exquisite beauty. Ing, you're all noobs, kings can't carry diamonds. In front of the computer, the original owner frowned and directly rejected it. At that time, she was already 8-0-0. In the end, because of the host pressure on the sidelines, the host's QWRE took away the 2 Cs, DPS, 50 minutes later and won the game. From the beginning to the end, the original owner didn't say a word, silently skipping the competition. She didn't think meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Meon meow meow meow. When she saw the 5,000 yuan reward, the host hesitated. After all, she was still a student and had no source of income. She didn't have much free time, so she couldn't use it to buy things like runes. This money seemed very important to her. The previous host thought for less than 3 seconds before accepting Yu Lin's friend request. Chapter 1235. This was an online competition. The early stages of the competition only needed to be carried out online. Only in the finals did they need to go to a place called the Soaring Flame Internet Cafe to sit in 5 rows. It could only be said that the previous host was too strong. She almost crushed the other side as an assassin mid-laner. Once she reached level 6, she could use a QWER flash and ignite to take them down. But their road to promotion was still bumpy. After all, their team was always 4 against 5. Oh no, it should be 4 against 6. The words Miao Ling said the most in the voice chat were, "How did I die?" Previous host Heart OS. You don't even know how you died? Damn. How could the other side's jungler instantly kill me? Previous host Heart OS. Nonsense. That person has 1 more kill than you. Why is the other side's ADC, Archer, damage so high? Previous host Heart OS. You gave him 7 kills. How could it be low? Although the previous host didn't say anything. But Yu Lin clearly couldn't take it anymore. In the semifinals, they had already lost the first 2 games of the best of 5. Even if the previous host was godly, she still couldn't create a hole in a high-level game. Because this was a team game. In the end, Yu Lin said in voice chat that Miao Ling should come off and the original mid laner should come on. The previous host knew that their team had a mid laner, but because the mid laner wasn't feeling well before, he didn't participate with them. Later on, he became their substitute. But I can't play support. The substitute mid laner said in voice chat. Yu Lin thought about it and said, "Floating the world can play my support." The previous host was stunned before finally typing a single word, "Alright." In the end, without the existence of the esports cancer, they caught 2-3 and won the semifinals. The previous host never spoke in the voice chat, so everyone thought that she was a rough person. Only when they saw her at the internet cafe on the day of the finals did they realize that she was a great beauty. She was a very quiet beauty. She looked soft and weak, but she could kill everyone in the competition. In the finals, it was like Yu Lin had been possessed by the Sand Emperor. After Miao Ling was replaced by the previous host, he just used 2 kills to deal explosive damage. The substitute mid laner's damage was average. He didn't do anything too eye-catching, but he didn't give up either. In the end, with a score of 3-0, they successfully won the game and received a reward of 5,000 yuan. The prize money was divided into 6 portions. Miao Ling said righteously that she had contributed a lot. Everyone saw that she was a little girl, so they didn't argue with her. But on the night of the celebration party, Yu Lin confessed to the host. Although Yu Lin had always taken care of Miao Ling and chased after her, it was just that she liked 456 men chasing after her, but she didn't choose any of them. She only maintained the ambiguous state and did not give an answer. When the original owner appeared, Yu Lin had a new goal. In the end, The host agreed to Yu Lin's request. After all, there were always sparks between ADCs and supports. I protect you, and you kill. What a beautiful phrase. Unfortunately, the good times did not last long. The original owner was introverted and didn't like to go to other places of entertainment, except for competitions. However, Yu Lin had already entered university. Every day, he would go to KTV and bars. Naturally, he was in a different world from the original owner. Chapter 1236. In the end, Yu Lin decided to cut all ties with the previous host. Not only did he kick her out of the team, he didn't even give her the prize money for the next few matches. Miao Ling successfully took back her support position and played small matches with Yu Lin. There were wins and losses, but their relationship was quite good. The pitiful previous host was strangely isolated. Perhaps Yu Lin didn't know how many things she had done for him. Mid laners and supports were different. Mid laners had to deal damage based on the other side's position, and supports had to follow the ADC. Vision, control, and use all kinds of methods to protect the ADC. The previous host was a very aggressive mid laner, and she spent a lot of time becoming a protective support. Not only did she stay up all night to practice heroes, she also spent the few gold coins she had to buy support heroes and runes. She gave up her favorite mid laner for him. She gave up all her dreams of becoming a mid laner for him. She never thought that the final result would be that this person was nothing more than a scumbag man. Later, the previous host spent all her attention on the game. After playing for 3 days and 3 nights without eating or sleeping, her body finally couldn't take it, and she suffered a stroke. The host spent a lot of time organizing the previous host story this time. After all, this was an online game world, so it was normal to think a bit longer. She looked around and looked at the clean room. Then she looked at the League of Legends on the screen and seriously thought for a long time. System notification. Because of the special nature of this world, the host will have League of Legends skills. Skill level is the same as the previous host. Got it. But there's something I'm very confused about. Male lead. The host can pay attention to this year's League of Legends City Championship. Luo Qingqian's brows slightly moved. When she was planning on walking in front of the computer, she suddenly thought of something and went to the kitchen to pour herself a cup of water. As long as she thought about how the previous host would die from a stroke 3 days later because she played too much, she felt her head hurt a bit. Calling for a family bucket, she took a bath and changed into a set of pajamas. Luo Qingqian was finally ready to sit in front of the computer again. In the previous host's memories, she came from a single-parent family. Her father left early and her mother worked outside all year round, so she was raised by her grandmother. Old people usually went to bed early, and the soundproofing of the room was good, so they didn't know what she was doing. However, the original owner's computer is not bad. In his impression, it was a high-end computer that had been reconfigured with all the prize money. Whether it was the monitor, memory, graphics card, or hard disk, they were all the best in the market. Based on this calculation, the price of this set was definitely not low. It was enough to show the original owner's love for League of Legends. Luo Qingqian followed the system's instructions and found all the League of Legends City Tournament. On the interface, there was a brightly colored sign-up in her section. After clicking on it, the names of a few vacant squadrons appeared. At first glance, she was attracted by a big red icon with a simple English number written on it. W. The captain's name was Half-World Held Soul. This name was so familiar that it could only appear on the bronze mirror. Luo Qingqian habitually scrolled down and glanced at the recruitment rules. 1. Only mid laner and support. 2. Ranked at least in the top 20 of the Challenger division. 3. Don't want a woman. When she saw the third rule, Luo Qingqian couldn't help but curse in her heart. Esports discriminates against men and women too much. Although she was very unwilling, she still made a bold move. Chapter 1237. System, I don't have money. Ding, 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for 100,000 unlimited black card. In an instant, her shriveled pocket suddenly swelled up. This feeling of money falling from the sky, it really was great. Walking around the city square, she had spent close to 20,000 yuan. After all, she still had to maintain the face of her clothes. Didn't the little white flower, who only knew how to pick chickens, just use a little white dress to capture Yulin's heart? To be honest, there is only one word to describe her in front of the barbershop mirror. Handsome. A head of curly chestnut hair, skin as white as marble, and under her nose, there were two cherry blossom-like lips that curled up slightly. Her eyes, in particular, were as clear as pearls, with a hint of haziness in them. She really could attract male gods in women's clothing, but in men's clothing. She had the appearance of a school hunk. It was probably because the previous host's face was rather cold, with very thin lips and a faint brown color to her eyes. "This beauty, are you satisfied?" The stylist who was serving her was obviously very satisfied with his skills. After all, he had personally turned a beautiful girl with long hair into a handsome and unrestrained handsome man. "I'm satisfied with most of it." Luo Qingchun gave a slight nod as her right hand stroked her chestnut hair. "Most of it?" The stylist was a bit confused as he rubbed his chin and asked, "Where are you dissatisfied?" "Cuckoo." Luo Qingchun cleared her throat and said, "Please call me this handsome man." When she came home, she chose a beige double-breasted coat. The coat was open, revealing a tailored white shirt underneath. There was a black tie lazily tied on the front, making him look very handsome. In the end, she sent her rank and identity to Team W's captain, half-world held soul. To be specific, she should call him Yi Qianhun. 2 hours later, she received a reply. Actually, she knew that it was very likely that she would pass the mid-laner recruitment, since she had a very high chance of winning in the rank game. The interview would be at 8 tomorrow morning. When she was about to go to bed, an unknown number called. "Hey," a somewhat lazy voice sounded. "Hello, may I ask if you are Mr. Luo Qingchun?" An extremely magnetic and pleasant voice with a hint of coolness like water sounded. Instantly, she sobered up. Cough, cough. In the next second, she immediately cleared her throat and said in a low voice, "Hello, I'm Team W's half-world held soul. I forgot to tell you in the email, remember to bring your ID tomorrow." His voice was doubtful, but he still said what he wanted to say. Okay, no problem." At this moment, she could feel her breathing become sluggish. It was as if you could breathe, but because of the other person's voice, you just stopped breathing. "Well, sorry to disturb you." "Yes, I won't. Rest early. Good night." "Good cough, cough, good night." In the next second, there was a busy tone from the other end of the phone. The room instantly fell silent. She let out a long sigh of relief and could clearly feel the violent beating of her heart. Bang, 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 bang. If she could also increase the favorability of the male lead, it should be 50% right now. After all, Chapter 1238. Early in the morning the next day, she was already prepared before the alarm clock even rang. She was wearing a white Dior t-shirt with 2 decorative buttons on the V-neck and a simple beige Walter jacket. She was also wearing a limited edition coffee-colored Nike cap that covered most of her chestnut hair. Standing in front of the mirror, she almost couldn't recognize herself. It was winter vacation now, and it was hard to avoid meeting classmates when going out. But with this kind of outfit, even her desk mate wouldn't be able to recognize her, all right? The host looked so confident. "What about your ID card?" It was fine if the system didn't mention it, but now that it did, she felt her head hurt. "Where did you get a fake ID card at this time?" "The system has it. The host can exchange for an ID card." "Price, was it expensive?" "It's not expensive. It only costs 500 RMB. "Oh no, it's 500 exchange points." "So expensive. But the system's ID card can be scanned through electronic devices, so it's worth it." Luo Qingchun thought about it and finally decided to exchange for it. Even if the system was clearly raising the price, she couldn't care that much right now. After all, there was a day when it was right. Scanning IDs now relied on electronic devices. It wasn't hard for her to go to a store and buy a fake one. The hard part was connecting to the network. "All right, exchange." Ding, 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for a fake ID card. Limited to this world. The interview location was a very high-class W Live esports museum. The first floor was an internet cafe, and the second floor was a VIP area. It was mostly used for small or medium-sized events. Luo Qingchun softly looked at it before heading upstairs. As soon as he walked to the second floor, he saw a fat man being chased out of the innermost office with his tail between his legs. There was an angry roar coming from inside. "Please don't use an account that's been trained to fool us, okay?" Although the voice wasn't bad, Luo Qingchun was certain that it wasn't the person who called her last night. Oh, as the name implied, it wasn't the male lead. Hey, God Qianxin, online recruitment is too unreliable. This is a bunch of &% hashtag yin percent hashtag yin. Before Fatty Chun could finish a sentence, he saw Luo Qingchun push open the door and walk in. In that instant, he was a little stunned. After all, in his eyes, he was someone who sat in front of the computer and played games all year round. Their skin should be sallow, their faces full of pimples, fat heads, big ears, and oily faces. However, the young man who had suddenly barged in was like another scenery in the Milky Way. No, to be more accurate, it should be the scenery of Yi Qianhun's world. After all, other than Yi Qianhun, this little handsome brother was the only one with such good skin that Fatty Chun had seen since he was young. However, she was too fair. Her beautiful eyes and slightly red lips gave him the urge to come out of the closet. You are. Fatty Chun was about to come forward with a smile when Yi Qianhun cut him off. Luo Qingxin, right? He looked up with a faint sparkle in his deep eyes. It was like he was looking at a special prey as he looked at the young man in front of him. At the same time, Luo Qingxin's eyes fell onto Yi Qianhun. As expected, people with good voices didn't look bad. Chapter 1239. Yi Qianhun, sitting in front of her, was wearing a clean white shirt with a dark blue coat on the outside. He was wearing a dark suit that didn't have any creases at all, giving off a proud and mysterious feeling. Classmate Luo. Yi Qianhun's words interrupted her thoughts, and she was a bit surprised. What is it? Resume. Oh. It was a simple conversation, but in Luo Qingxin's eyes, it was a very awkward conversation. You want to be our team's mid-laner, right? He held the resume in one hand while pointing at a seat beside him with the other. Don't be shy. Sit down. Luo Qingxin took a deep breath and sat down where he pointed at. There was a laptop in front of her. There was a faint lemon scent in the air. It should be the scent coming from Yi Qianhun. It wasn't perfume. It should be some kind of laundry detergent, but it really smelled good. What hero are you good at? He looked over her resume and casually asked this. Enchantress, Fox, Cassidon, Calamity. Luo Qingxin didn't think too much as she blurted it out. Yi Qianhun held his chin in his hand with a profound look. Assassin. Yes, she said with a nod. I play more aggressively in lane matches, so there are more assassin mid-laners in ranked matches. How is it like a team mid-laner? How are you playing? He put down her resume and seriously looked at her with a bit of probing in his deep eyes. I can play, she replied with a nod. In League of Legends, other than assassin mid-laners, there were also team mid-laners. For example, Clockwork, Airplane, Jace, and others. This is Fatty Chun. We all call him Fatty. Yi Qianhun pointed at Fatty Chun on the side before his eyes fell back onto Luo Qingxin. He is our team's top laner. Can you solo him? Within 10 minutes, as long as you don't die, you pass the interview. Otherwise, if you're killed by him, we can only say sorry. Yi Qianhun was very direct. After all, this was a team recruitment and strength came first. After all, there were too many scammers in the country, and there were many people who could help out. Whether it was their rank or their achievements, they were all too weak. But she, Luo Qingxin, was a genius mid-laner. Actually, there's another result. Luo Qingxin's eyes that were as deep as the sea looked up as her lips curled into a faint smile. Seeing her faint smile, Qian Yihun's eyes flashed with a trace of light. After that, Luo Qingxin skillfully opened the interface and logged into her account. Fatty Chin's ID was Fatty Invincible. When he invited Luo Qingxin, he didn't forget to say, why do you and God Qian's ID seem like couple names? Dust floating to the world half held. At this moment, the air was filled with an awkward atmosphere. Soon, the of the hero, Luo's. She looked like a little lowly, holding a teddy bear in her hand. After reaching level 6, she could summon her teddy bear and stun the enemy for a short period of time. The other side picked Rambo, top laner, a hero that was hard to solo after level 3. Chapter 1240. Luo Qingshun hadn't studied Rambo before. After all, she rarely went top laner, but she still knew the basic skills. The chances of both sides killing the other side wasn't high, but the result was unexpected. Luo Qingshun's Annie came out with a Doran ring, and Fatty Chun brought a Doran shield. After both sides fought for a round of blood after level 3, they planned to return under their own towers. But they didn't know that Luo Qingshun didn't return, but rather after killing the last soldier. She used Flash, fast movement skill, to directly appear under the enemy's tower and cast QW, successfully taking First Blood. First Blood, First Blood sounded in her headphones. At this time, only 6 minutes had passed in the game. At the same time, there was a prompt from the system. Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 10%. Luo Qingshun naturally knew that Yi Qianhun was looking at her, but she didn't look back. Fatty Chin scratched his head, not knowing what to do. His limbs were stiff. He never thought that he would lose to a little kid who looked like a student. He said with an unwilling look, Let's play another round." "No need." His slender fingers tapped on the table before looking at Luo Qingshun. "Welcome to W, but God Qian, this was an accident, all right?" Fatty Chin looked a bit aggrieved since he couldn't take this grievance. "Even if she didn't kill you under the tower, you still lost." Yi Qianhun pointed at the game data. "She beat you by 10 CS in terms of CS. The last hit in the game was the last hit on the minions. The original owner used to practice the last hit in the game every day. Only when he hit 80 hits in 10 minutes was he considered to have passed the game." "Damn, it's true." Fatty Chin looked at the data in disbelief. "Awesome. Sorry for offending you. Welcome to Team W. Why do I feel like we'll become gods this year?" "Thank you," Luo Qingshun said with a polite nod. "Then if there's nothing else, I'll be heading back first." "Wait a minute." Yi Qianhun didn't plan on letting her go this quickly. He looked up and said, "We're still missing a support. Classmate Luo can help take a look later." Yi Qianhun seemed to like calling her classmate. Was it because she was only 18 on her resume? However, it had to be said that there were a lot of people who applied to join Team W. Although they were all kings of their respective regions, their strength was not at the same level. In the end, they chose a support that was only at the master rank. The reason was simple. He had passed the test. This person's game ID was Forever, which meant forever when translated into Chinese. His real name was Bai Yong. Towards Bai Xiaoyong, Luo Qingshun always had a feeling that she couldn't take it back. Her first impression of him wasn't very good, even though she actually didn't say much to him. It was probably because he spoke too little that he felt a little strange. However, other things aside, as a support, Bai Yong's technique could be said to be quite good. In the evening, Yi Qianhun treated everyone to a meal and talked about this year's main events and goals. Team W was a rather famous League of Legends team in City A. They had won countless internet cafe competitions, big and small. Their overall level was on a completely different level compared to Yulin's Blazing Fire. Chapter 1241. The biggest difference between the Internet Cafe Tournament and the Provincial Tournament was that the Internet Cafe Tournament was an individual tournament organized by the Internet Cafe, and the Provincial Tournament was an official tournament. The so-called official tournament didn't mean that one could participate just because they had a team or a dream. It also depended on the number of times they won the tournament last year and the average KDA. After all, there weren't many spots and there were many teams. The first half of the year will be focused on Internet Cafe tournaments, and the second half of the year will be preparing for the provincial tournament. Yi Qianhun raised his cup and looked at everyone. "Does anyone have any questions?" "God Qian, our team's jungler is..." "Sacrificial God?" Bai Yong lit a cigarette. It seemed like a casual question, but it was completely off topic. Luo Qingshun clearly didn't know the name Sacrificial God since the previous host didn't know anything about famous people. To be more specific, it should be Empty Head. "Yes." Yi Qianhun's dark as ink eyes narrowed as he replied to Bai Yong's question. Bai Yong faintly revealed a meaningful expression. Finally, he put out the cigarette and said, It's my honor to play with such a strong team. When she came home at night, the empty-head Luo Qingshun quickly went online to look up some things about Team W. This team was formed 2 years ago. The captain was half-world held soul, and the vice-captain was Death God Priest. His original name was unknown, but the fans called him Sacrificial God. It was said that when he and half-world held soul dueled, they would always kill each other at the same time. Their skills were superb. As for the top laner, Fatty Chun was a very resistant top laner. As the name implied, he would tank if one person hit him. If 2 people hit him, he would tank. If 3 people hit him, he would hide under the tower and tank. His main heroes were team-type and protection-type heroes, which was commonly known as meat. Luo Qingshun also looked up by Yong, but she didn't find any information about him. But when she typed the word forever and by Yong into the search bar, there was a post that appeared. Caesar equals forever equals by Yong? Luo Qingshun knit her brows. She quickly typed the name Caesar into the search bar, and a large amount of content appeared. Caesar was the best ADC in the 3 consecutive online League of Legends championships, but the team he played for was called Q. Team Q was a team that specialized in online matches and didn't have offline matches, so no one knew what Caesar looked like or if he was a man or woman. When Team Q was prepared to take their 4th championship, they were defeated by the Dark Horse Team W, and Team W's ADC was Yi Qianhun. This is a bit too much information. She read a little bit of information about them and felt a headache coming on, but simply Team W was very strong. Super strong. Very strong. The next morning, Luo Qingshun wore a supreme red hoodie and a pair of ripped jeans as she headed to the meeting place that Yi Qianhun mentioned last night. In the eyes of esports players, it was called Luo was called a training base league. Team was called Luo was God's God. This name was still fresh in Luo Qingshun's mind. She remembered that the previous host had no choice but to go from mid to support for Yulin. But the previous host was still happy at that time. She accepted the confession of the so-called male god and thought that she would be blessed for the rest of her life. Reality gave her a hard slap in the face. Chapter 1242. The lucky thing was that Luo Qingshun as the host had never met a scumbag man. After looking over the schedule, she asked Yi Qianhun, "Can I change my name?" After all, Yu Lin and the others all knew her name, so it was good to change it. You can change it before it's reported. It's all online now. Yi Qianhun looked up at her. "What name do you want to change it to?" Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and blurted out, "Focus on support. No explanation." Yi Qianhun heard this and revealed a helpless smile. To be honest, he had a bit of inexplicable feelings towards this mid-laner. To be specific, it was an inexplicable good feeling. She could always say shocking things that he couldn't believe, constantly attracting him, because Yu Lin and He Miaoling had already deleted her as a friend and even changed her ID. They didn't know who she was at all. But this morning, Luo Qingshun met the so-called Death God's priest as she wished, who was their team's jungler, commonly known as Sacrifice God. His height and dyed silver-white hair added to his charm. His pitch-black eyes emitted waves of cold air. The black earring on her right ear was even more resplendent against her silver hair. Luo Qingshun's brows trembled. Seeing his lips curl into a ghost of a smile, he gave off an aura that kept people away. "This is the mid-laner." Sacrifice God looked at her and said, "She looks a bit weak." In the next second, she sneered and said, "Esports isn't a real brawl. What's the point of being so tall?" Sacrifice God was clearly insulted by Luo Qingshun and didn't know what to say. He could only silently look at Yi Qianhun. Yi Qianhun gave a shrug as his expression seemed to say, "Don't look at me. She always says shocking things." The practice match between the 5 of them wasn't bad. After all, they were all very strong, so they had a 100% chance of winning after a few rounds. After the practice match was over, Sacrifice God didn't forget to say, "With this kind of mid-laner, I'm even more willing to gank in the mid lane." The match was on a Sunday. Although it was an online match, they still chose to go to the training base together. Luo Qingshun never thought that her first team would be facing Blazing Flame. What strange name. Fatty Chin scratched his head, showing that his head was hurting from seeing this name. Luo Qingshun, sitting in the middle, was in the middle of the group, raised her brows, and said with a smile, "Heroes think alike." But now she had a grudge with He Yulin and He Miao Miao. 5 minutes later, both sides entered the game interface. After He Miao Ling saw Luo Qingchen's ID, she immediately spoke in the chat. "All young beauty, _ winky face. Is the opposing mid laner targeting me?" At that moment, the four people in the training base all looked at Luo Qingchen. Luo Qingchen confidently raised a brow and typed 2 words in the chat. "I'll focus on support," without explanation. Yes. However, what she didn't expect was that a group of her teammates were typing on the public chat at the same time. "All half-world held soul." Yes. "All invincible fatty." Yes. "All death god priest." Hi. "All forever." On. Chapter 1243. "All jade tree facing the wind." What? W also knows how to speak before the game? Yulin naturally knew that W was a strong team, but if his girlfriend was being bullied like this, he wouldn't be a man if he didn't stand up. Then again, it didn't take much skill to be a keyboard warrior in the game, and he could flirt with girls, so why not? Luo Qingchen ignored him. After all, the game had already begun, and it was better to add a few more hits than to type a few words. This time, she took a Syndra. This hero had a certain advantage in terms of burst power and first-hand control. She was quite beautiful and had several balls in her hand that she could put on the ground. A hero that was quite strong whether it was early or late game. She picked Rise, a hero that could run all over the map after reaching level 6. It was a pity that Luo Qingchen understood the level of the enemy mid laner too well. After all, she was still playing Yulin support. There was nothing special about this mid laner. It all depended on Yulin to carry the entire game. Luo Qingchen played this kind of pick mid laner with ease. Once she reached level 6, she used a QEW and a set of big moves to take down Rise. 10 minutes after she solo killed Rise, she began to gank Rise crazily, and her favorite lane was the bottom lane. That ID was Beautiful Girl Support. He had already been killed by her 6 times in less than 20 minutes. Of course, this was all thanks to Yi Qianhan. After all, this person who was only 19 years old and had become a #1 ADC in the country, he was definitely a legendary existence. Whether it was his DPS or his damage conversion rate, whether it was support or suppression, every detail was done perfectly. The game continued. At the 20-minute mark, W's top laner and jungler relied on their strong equipment to attack the dragon. In a League of Legends match, whoever took the dragon first would have the chance to go to the tower and in the match. At the same time, Luo Qingchen and Yi Qianhan were pushing in the bottom lane. Suddenly, there were 5 enemy players in the bottom lane. It seemed like they knew that they couldn't win the game and wanted to fight to the death. After all, the total headcount of both sides was now 0 to 30. This wasn't a competition, it was a ranking match. Luo Qingchen reacted quickly and quickly used QE to control the 3 players. When she was planning to leave, Yi Qianhan was wildly attacking the support called Exquisite Beauty. With 3 critical hits, she was taken away. Luo Qingchen immediately followed up with her skill and killed the opposing jungler. Yi Qianhan took advantage of the chaos to kill the enemy mid and top laner with his high damage output, but his health was also reduced by Yulin's ADC. In the end, he flashed away, and Yulin used the special characteristic of the female cop of Pi City to lock onto him. At this moment, Luo Qingchen flashed in front of him and blocked Yulin's big move. At this time, she had less than 100 HP left. You're trading a life for a life. Yi Qianhan turned to look at her with a bit of emotion in his eyes. After all, the mid laner was taking damage for the ADC. Especially a mid laner with such good development, it definitely wasn't a good deal for them. He doesn't have 2 big pieces. He can't kill me with a single big move. Luo Qingchen looked at her health and said, "I calculated it. Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 20%. Yi Qianhan never thought that a rookie who didn't know anything about the game would be able to calculate his health this accurately. Chapter 1244. In the end, the match went on for 24 minutes. Team W, which Luo Qingchen was in, successfully defeated Blazing Fire's base. The score was 38-0. Yes, this was the so-called Internet Cafe qualifier. W crushed Blazing Flame and did not give him a chance to catch his breath. They successfully zeroed them. Team W's MVP was only playing support without explanation. After all, with her 13-0-15 score, her opponent had no chance to fight back. At this time, the spectators who were watching the game online all expressed their opinions on the main post. The title of the post was W zeroed Blazing Fire. Beautiful win. Ran likes to eat watermelon. Damn. Blazing Fire shouldn't be beaten like this. I'm just eating watermelon. Epsilon equals? Oh, asterisk. I have to say support is trash. Stars in the night sky. Mid laner isn't that good either. I really miss Blazing Fire when Floating in the World was there. W's little angel. Actually, W is too strong. Dead leaf on the ground. +1. W is too strong. Fan of God Qianshin. Fan of the new mid laner. Inner OS. Can the new mid laner's name be changed? _ After the first match, Fatty Chin scrolled through the comments in the post. He muttered, they said that Blazing Fire used to have a mid laner called Floating in the World. In that instant, Luo Qingxin's heart skipped a beat. Her eyebrows trembled slightly. She raised her voice and said, really? Don't worry, Floating in the World is a soft and cute girl. What does she have to do with a man like you? Fatty teased her from the side. He patted her shoulder with a simple and honest smile and said, you look quite tactful. Do you have any girls in your family? Luo Qingxin looked up and rolled her eyes at him. You're the tactful one. Your entire community is tactful. At the same time, a few members of Blazing Fire started arguing in the voice chat. Although they only lost one match to W, it wasn't like they had no chance. There were many contestants participating in the Internet Cafe preliminaries. After finishing a round, the 4 teams with the highest points would enter the semifinals. Yushu, if our team always has this kind of support, I won't play anymore. A male voice came from the YY voice chat. It was Blazing Fire's jungler. It was clear that Miao Ling's noob had reached a point where her teammates couldn't take it anymore. After all, they were beaten to a 0 by W in a so-called match. They were beaten to the point of doubting their lives. How can you be like this? You've given quite a bit yourself. This wave of blame really is good. Miao Ling replied in a dissatisfied manner. After all, in her eyes, there was no problem with her own operation. In her eyes, the responsibility of a support was to use all of their skills in a group battle and be done with it. After all, in her eyes, she was just a support, not a damage dealer. Funny? I really don't know how a person like you can compete in a competition. Any random passerby is better than you, okay? The other party was obviously very angry, spouting a bunch of nonsense into the voice chat. You're saying it like you're playing very well? I'm not dealing damage. You can't deal as much damage as the other side. Miao Ling wasn't willing to be outdone. Relying on Yu Lin's protection, she wasn't willing to be outdone with every word. Damn you, what are you arguing for? Yu Lin finally couldn't take it anymore and exploded on the spot. What are you talking about? Don't you know what kind of skills you have? All right. You could just protect her. Father isn't as blind as you. I'm not doing this. Chapter 1245. System notification. Player Xiao Xiong has left the team. It's fine if you're gone. Miao Ling gave a shrug, looking like she didn't care at all. After all, in her eyes, there was a sense of superiority that wasn't her problem at all. You Shu, although I really want to walk down the path with you, the problem is that you know the truth. But to be honest, you know where the problem is better than us. Another male voice came from the YY voice chat. This time, the voice was more mature. As soon as his voice fell, there was another ding sound as that person left YY. Then there was system notification. Player love you without discussion has left the team. Suddenly YY fell silent. Only a mid laner, Little Beast said, how about we bring Floating in the World back? After all, he was also a mid laner, although he had become a substitute because of Luo Qingxin. But he was very clear on Luo Qingxin's strength. That kind of operation and awareness wasn't something they could compare to. Are you crazy? Bring her back? Hearing the words floating in the world, he Miao Ling instantly jumped up. A completely male duck voice roared in YY. That kind of shameless girl, I'll leave when she comes back. My meaning is that you'll leave when she comes back. Little Beast directly followed up. You bastard. He Miao Ling couldn't help cursing. Roll love. No one wants to keep you. He Miao Ling. With an angry roar, the entire YY fell silent. This was Yu Lin's voice. He Miao Ling clearly never thought that he would roar at her this loudly. Woo, woo, woo. What are you being so fierce for? He Miao Ling's arrogant aura immediately turned into a soft little kitten, completely losing her anger from before. Do I still want to play or not? Hearing her tone, Yu Lin clearly couldn't be fierce anymore. After all, it was said that a little white flower that could pretend would always make men stand by her side. Of course I want to play. She pursed her lips and said, I still want to buy the newest LV bag. What? No, He Miao Ling immediately said. My meaning is that I said that I would always be your support, your exclusive support. When a soft and cute voice sounded in his ear, a man couldn't reject it. Little Beast, how about this? I'll go and recruit more top laners and junglers. He thought for a while and said, Anyway, those two people really can't do it. Then the competition. Little Beast seemed a little hesitant. After all, he had been with this team for a long time. Whether it was feelings or belonging, it was always different. The competition doesn't matter. I know the boss of the Soaring Fire Internet Cafe, so the change of members isn't a big deal. Yu Lin let out a long sigh of relief. As for Miaoling, I'll let her train as much as possible. There are a lot of famous teams in this competition, so we cannot let our guard down. Although Yu Lin was speaking for He Miaoling on the surface, he was very clear in his heart that He Miaoling's operation was just too bad. But for He Miaoling, the joy of esports was one, liking the feeling of being surrounded by men, and two, liking the prize money. On the other side, Luo Qingqian's Team W played a total of 5 matches today, and each match ended within 25 minutes. After all, the 5 positions were all very top-notch. It was no wonder. After dinner, Yi Qianhun drove her home, and the two of them didn't talk at all. Chapter 1246. Luo Qingqian was surprised as she looked a bit nervous. Yi Qianhun said with a chuckle, Your ID is very good. She was surprised as she fell into a state of self-doubt. There were only a few words that kept appearing in her mind. Could it be that I've been exposed? Could it be that there are photos of the previous host on the internet? It can't be, right? She had only participated in a small competition that couldn't be any smaller. No, no, no. Impossible, impossible. After a few seconds of silence, Luo Qingqian's lips twitched as she revealed a beautiful smile. You're not bad either. It's been hard today. Have a good rest. Luo Qingqian gave a serious nod before opening the car door with her right hand. Bye-bye. What is it? She found that when she was talking to Yi Qianhun, while disguised as a man, she felt like she was walking on a tightrope. If she wasn't careful, she would be completely exposed. Why are you so nervous? His brows relaxed as he said with a faint smile, I want to say that I'll send you the contents of the bonus distribution later. You can take a look when you have time. All right. She gave a slight nod. When she was about to turn and leave, what is it now? This treasure's little heart. Good night. Yi Qianhun's deep as the sea eyes narrowed, and his lips slightly pursed as he said the last 2 words. His voice really was good to listen to, especially when he said this. It was so good that it made one's ears feel pregnant. When the BMW drove past her, she raised her hand and waved. Good night. After taking a shower when she got home, Luo Qingqian opened her mailbox to see an email from Yi Qianhun. The content of the email was very detailed. It was all about the team's bonus distribution and benefits. What surprised her the most was the benefits. One of them was, as long as a new member won an internet cafe tournament, they could receive a single apartment provided by the club. This was quite attractive. If she had a single apartment, she wouldn't have to run back and forth every day. The next morning, when she walked into the training base, everyone was gathered around a computer in a heated discussion. Luo Qingqian narrowed her eyes and asked while drinking yogurt, What are you doing so early in the morning? Hey, Qingshun, come here. Fatty called out to her and continued. The team that competed with us yesterday, called something like Burn, has been reorganized. Raging Inferno. Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and said, after all, their support is too weak. If they don't regroup, I'm afraid they won't even be able to enter the semifinals. TSK, 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 the support is a girl. Fatty patted his chest and chuckled. As a man, I have to protect the girls who play esports. After all, there are too few of them. Girl equals trap. Death God's priest shrugged and said, that's why I told Qinshan that our club must not recruit girls. Although Luo Qingshan felt that Death God's priest's words were too certain, because she hated him Miao Ling, she stood on his side this time. Cuckoo. She cleared her throat and said, although I can't guarantee that the girl is a trap, Raging Inferno's support is definitely a trap. Right, their jungler left the team. Are they recruiting or giving up? Chapter 1247. They're recruiting new people. Yiqian Hun scrolled down the mouse as he said, they added 2 Korean junglers. I heard that they were poached for a large price. Korean reinforcements? Luo Qingshan narrowed her cold eyes. It seemed like Yulin really didn't care about money to win. The Korean reinforcements meant that players from Korea would join China's team. According to the memories of the previous host, Yu Lin was a rich second generation. Although he wasn't rich enough to throw out 1,000 gold, he could still throw out 100 gold. Actually, it had to be said, although he was a scumbag, his love for League of Legends was worth recognizing. But his eyes really weren't that good. Although there weren't many girls who played games, there was no need to find a girl like him Miao Ling. The only thing he was proud of was when his brother complained to him that his girlfriend broke up with him because he played League of Legends. He could proudly say, my girlfriend is playing with me right now. ZTV. Even this kind of team can invite Korean reinforcements. The fatty said with a laugh, it's like you're playing LPL. Normally speaking, it was impossible to see Korean reinforcements in this kind of internet cafe league because Korean reinforcements weren't cheap. Most of the time, only very large teams could bring in Korean reinforcements. Korea's understanding of esports was very thorough. Hence, there were a lot of good players, and some players would come to China to develop. But Luo Qingshun never thought that Yu Lin would be willing to spend this much money to win. Come, before the provincial competition, let's practice with the stick. The fatty sniffed, looking like he was ready to fight. The rest of the game went very smoothly. They had an unstoppable momentum. There were even quite a few fans who crazily asked W to join the Pro League. This included, but wasn't limited to, Little Turtle Run Slowly, 2F King Awesome. I really like mid laners playing cards. Their momentum is truly invincible. Nostalgia. Every time she picks up a card, I feel like it's completely smooth sailing. Don't know what name. WWWWW Invincible. God Qian is invincible. I really feel that God Qian is a professional ADC. Too powerful. Trickwitch. If they were a pro team, I would definitely be a fan until I graduate. Ashiba. What was the mid laner called before? Why did he change to such a strange name? Fatty, who had just finished a match, looked at the bullet screen and said, Guru Qian, they said you're a professional ADC. Isn't that so? Before Yiqian Hun could speak, Sacrificing Gods came back to the fatty and said, do you know what God Qian said before? Fatty scratched his head and finally looked at Luo Qingshan. Luo Qingshan stared blankly, the corner of her mouth twitching awkwardly as she said, how would I know? Give me 20 minutes to farm, and I'll give you a team battle that you won't lose. When the priest finished this sentence, not only the fatty, but even Luo Qingshan was stunned. What kind of ADC could say something like that? This meant that he had absolute confidence in himself and his absolute talent. I'll remember that. Chapter 1248. Time passed very quickly, and the competition went very smoothly. In the end, the top 4 were W, Blazing Flame, Ultraman, and CC. In the semifinals, W and CC faced off, and Blazing Flame faced off against Ultraman. It had to be said, since Yu Lin invited the Korean support, their team's record wasn't bad. Other than losing to them in the first round, They had a large lead in the rest of the games, reaching second place in the rankings. CC wasn't that strong, but their bottom lane, ADC and support, was quite strong. But when they met Yi Qianhun, they couldn't fight back at all and had to watch the other side kill the minions. When the game was 24 minutes old, W took down the main dragon and destroyed the other side's base. The battle between Blazing Flame and Ultraman was more intense. The two sides fought for a full 50 minutes. In the end, Blazing Flame won the game thanks to the Korean jungler stealing the tower. The list of the finals appeared on the screen. W versus Blazing Flame. Fatty, sitting in front of the computer, said with a laugh, "I never thought. This team that was shaved clean by us in the qualifiers actually made it to the finals. Most of the teams in internet cafes are weak, it's normal." Sacrificing Gods flicked his silver hair and said, "We were just bored and casually participated. The main thing is the provincial competition in the second half of the year." Sacrificing Gods is right. You don't need to care too much about it. Yi Qianhun looked at the screen and said, "But the finals will be at the Soaring Flame Internet Cafe. It should be tomorrow. Remember to bring your peripherals, mouse, keyboard, etc." The next day, Luo Qingshan woke up early, because she had to disguise herself since she didn't want that scum man and scum woman to expose her identity. Black hat, black mask, black coat, and black scarf. Apart from a pair of eyes that were as clear as water, everything else was completely covered. So other than Yi Qianhun, no one else recognized her. "Classmate Luo, are you going to rob someone?" Fatty carefully looked at her for a few seconds before he couldn't help breaking out in laughter. Yi Qianhun looked at her with a gaze of deep meaning before saying, "The competition is about to begin. Let's go in." The Soaring Flame Internet Cafe had a total of 2 VIP rooms for the finals, 1 for each team. It was convenient to communicate and avoid accidentally hearing the enemy strategy. Yu Yulin and the others had already occupied Room A, leaving only Room B. There was nothing wrong with this, but when Luo Qingshan turned on the computer for 5 minutes, she found out. This computer couldn't be turned on at all. "I can't open it either." Fatty frowned and said angrily, "Damn it. Are you trying to cause trouble for Grandpa Fatty? The person in charge, get over here. Is there anything I can help you with? You guys can't even turn on your computers. How are you going to play?" "That can't be. The computer was fine yesterday." The person in charge glanced around like a drama queen. Then he said, "How about this? The competition is about to start. You can find 2 people to play with me at the computer in the lobby. I'll give you a voice call later. It's the same. Same as your sister." "What the hell?" Fatty raised his fist, ready to swing it at any moment. "Forget it, Fatty." Yi Qianhun narrowed his eyes as a faint chill appeared in his deep eyes. "Forever, and I will go outside. You 3 will stay in the private room." After all, it was easier for the ADC and support to communicate together, so Yi Qianhun decided to bring the support to the computer outside. Chapter 1249. When the person in charge led Yi Qianhun and Forever out of the room, the Fatty angrily said, "They're clearly causing trouble. Why do we have to endure it? At worst we won't fight. Who cares about that bit of money?" Fatty-chan was clearly very angry, but the words that came out of his mouth made Luo Qingshan fall into deep thought. "Because I can't bear it. You don't know what they want to do." Luo Qingshan held her cheek with her right hand as she tapped the table with her left hand. Then again, perhaps they hope that you won't fight. If she remembered correctly, the owner of the Soaring Flame Internet Cafe should be Yu Lin's good friend. Then it wasn't hard to imagine the dark side of this competition. 5,000 yuan wasn't considered much. It was like the Fatty said, it didn't matter if they didn't fight. But she couldn't bear to see those little white flowers and scum holding hands, looking happy forever. 5 minutes later, everyone entered the voice chat room of the Internet Cafe. The voice chat was very clear. It was even clearer than talking to the side. Damn it, this fat master thought that they were deliberately bullying people. The Fatty's noisy voice sounded in her headset. Luo Qingshan slightly knit her brows as she helplessly rubbed her ears. "Your voice really is loud." "That's right, this fat master is a big brother. I have a lot of words to say," the Fatty said with a laugh. "How about it? What lineup do you plan on beating them with today?" Yi Qianhun's magnetic voice slowly sounded. Let's end this quickly. When the game entered the BP phase, the other side respected her very much, banning her three most powerful mid-laners, Cards, Clockwork, and Annie. In the end, Luo Qingchun chose Syndra, a hero that can put many balls on the ground. Yi Qianhun chose the most popular Xia and the support Luo. The Luo and Xia duo were known as the Phoenix Legends of League of Legends. Luo Qingchun thought that they could quickly finish this game, but she never thought that the other side would bring an early-stage lineup that would catch them off guard. Although they had a 2-0 lead, it was clear that the suppression of the two Koreans was very strong. The opponent's mid laner was also very clear that he couldn't beat Luo Qingchun, so he stood very carefully. As long as Luo Qingchun flashed, he would definitely hide under the defense tower and wait for his jungler to come to support. Were they dragging? Sacrificing Gods asked in the voice chat with some doubts. Their lineup is the advantage in the early stages, but in the end, it will be the kitchen knife team. We will absolutely crush them. They should be waiting for Dalong. Luo Qingchun glanced at the time. It had been 19 minutes since the match started. 20 minutes after the dragon spawned, they would be able to compete with the dragon party. At that time, even if the other party did not want to fight with them, they would have no choice. Other than her taking a kill in the middle lane and Yi Qianhun taking a kill in the bottom lane, there weren't any other kills. It was enough to prove that the skill level of the two Korean helpers was not low. They were actually able to force a pit. Little did he know that as soon as the big dragon appeared, Luo Qingchun couldn't hear the sound from the bottom lane. Buzzing noises came from the earpiece. Fatty was so angry that he threw the earpiece to the ground. F***, what's the meaning of this? Chapter 1250. At the same time, in the other room, Big Brother Yushu, your move is so powerful. Ing, so handsome. When he Miaoling heard that they had hung up, she was filled with joy and almost jumped up. Of course, she didn't forget to type a few words in all chat. All exquisite beauty. Io, weren't you very arrogant last time? Why is it that 20 minutes have passed, and you still have so few kills? He. At this time, Luo Qingchun was using her blue buff and saw the support Lu standing in front of the dragon without moving. She gave a cold laugh while sitting in front of the computer. She went around the bushes behind her and used QEWR, killing He Miaoling who had poor equipment. At that moment, she felt like she had been slapped in the face. All exquisite beauty. Is there any meaning in scheming against people? Damn trash. You can only scheme against me. Can you beat the others? He Miaoling, whose screen turned gray, was filled with anger as her face turned red. She wished that she could revive right now and use her skills on Luo Qingchun's face. All invincible fatty. What are you talking about? This fat master would have already cursed 18 generations of your ancestors if it wasn't for your girl. You're the most arrogant one on the field. Come and hit this fat master. Don't you know what level you're at? It was clear that Fatty Chun, who said he wanted to protect girls a few days ago, had completely changed his mind. He had a grin on his face right now, and Luo Qingchun was really worried that he would throw his computer away and run next door to fight. It was unknown if the fatty's words were too harsh or if He Miaoling was despised by the team after being soloed by Luo Qingchun. In short, she didn't say anything after that. Yi Qianhun cleared the minions in the bottom lane and sent a signal to the dragon. When Luo Qingchun walked over, she was surprised to find that they were fighting. She was a little surprised. After all, their timing was too accurate. This definitely wasn't Yi Yulin's command. They must have other commands. She was a little anxious. She threw a blue accessory, into the circle of dragons, and the 5 of them were instantly illuminated. They didn't attack the dragon quickly, but it seemed like they wouldn't be able to catch up in time. Luo Qingchun narrowed her eyes and stunned everyone with a QE. Then, she used her skill to deal all the damage to the dragon and successfully snatched the dragon from the hands of the enemy jungler. Damn, Qingchun, you're good. The fatty shouted happily. Then he said, but you didn't flash. Just wait for your death. She pursed her lips. Although she was somewhat unwilling to be beaten to death by the other party, there was no other way. After all, there was a price to pay for stealing the dragon. For the winner of the game, Sacrificing her life was completely worth it. The enemy's ADC was Yu Yulin. When he saw that all of Luo Qingqian's skills were on cooldown, it was as if he had eaten an exploding fruit and crazily attacked her. When she was about to take her hands off the keyboard, Yi Qianhun used a feather storm blade, or skill, in front of her, making her unable to be chosen. Feathers filled the sky, and the damage simply exploded. Yi Qianhun in front of the computer didn't know what was wrong with him, but he was very unhappy looking at the enemy's ADC. He had just dealt damage to Luo Qingqian, but now he had used a feather cloak of death to cripple him. Although there was support protection, Yi Qianhun still dealt tons of damage, almost becoming unstoppable. At this time, Luo Qingqian pressed tab and looked at his equipment. It was actually 6 god equipment. She suddenly thought of what Death God Priest had said. Give me 20 minutes to farm, and I'll give you a team fight that you can't lose. Chapter 1251. Because they smoothly stole the dragon and adding in Yi Qianhun's explosive damage. The outcome of this match was very clear. In the end, they took down the enemy base with a score of 12-0. Although the score was different from last time, and there were fewer kills, it was still a clean sweep, and they won in such a cool manner. 3 minutes later, the door to VIP Room B was opened. Yi Qianhun had his hands in his pockets as he walked in against the light. She looked over, and when they looked at each other, she suddenly found that he was dazzling. He was completely worthy of his title as the strongest ADC in the country. God Qian, you're not like yourself at the dragon anymore. Fatty looked at him with a happy look as he teased. Normally when the support and jungler aren't here, it's impossible for you to be the first. If you didn't instantly take down the enemy ADC, you would have just sent yourself to death. Yi Qianhun raised a brow and looked at Luo Qingqian with a bit of pride before saying, "There's no other way. The mid laner sent himself to death, so I also sent myself to death." Actually, the truth was that he couldn't stand seeing their mid laner being bullied. Although it was impulsive, it was something that had to be done. Fatty was stunned. What? Sacrificing gods looked at him with eyes of disbelief. God Qian, I really can't believe that a steady ADC like you would say something like that. Cuckoo. Fatty couldn't help giving 2 coughs. What is this situation? Both CS sent themselves to death? Pooh. Luo Qingqian gave an innocent shrug. I was risking my life to steal the dragon. All right. Anyone who played League of Legends knew the importance of a dragon. The match is over. Let's take a picture on stage. When they were happily chatting, the person in charge of the match came over. Fatty couldn't take it and charged forward to grab his collar. You're playing dirty with this fat master, right? Cold. Calm down. That person was so scared by Fatty that he couldn't speak properly. He nervously said, It's really not my fault. You don't hit me. Forget it, Fatty. The priest's eyebrows moved slightly. He waved his hand and said, This is obviously the order from above. It's useless for you to make things difficult for him. Yes. Seeing that someone was speaking up for him, the man immediately nodded his head while trembling. Forget about taking photos. In the next second, Qianhun's eyes turned cold. Our mid laner doesn't like taking photos. This is your sister. The fat man flung him away and let go of his collar. Transfer the bonus to our account, or I'll expose your filthy behavior this time. That person was frightened by the fatty. His face instantly paled as he said, Yes. One had to admit that Yu Yulin and his party were still very shameless. A mere runner-up was already standing on the small stage, smiling like a blooming flower as if they had won the championship. Especially He Miaoling. All kinds of revealing thighs and kissing poses were endless. Those who didn't know would think that she was shooting an XX film. Jane, straight, spicy, AI, let's quickly stand. Let's have them stand behind us. He Miaoling saw them come out of the room and immediately said to Yu Yulin beside her, Don't let them steal our limelight. Chapter 1252. However, He Miaoling never thought that Yi Qianhun's group wouldn't come to the stage at all. Rather, they would leave the internet cafe. The fans behind them were still shouting their team's name. Congratulations, W. Congratulations, W. Congratulations, W. Yi Qian-hun put his hands in his pocket and paused for half a second. His dark as ink eyes narrowed as he looked at Yu Yulin on the stage. That one look was enough to decide that they were enemies. He Miaoling was surprised. When Yi Qian-hun looked in their direction, her heart skipped a beat. His heart inexplicably skipped a beat. There was a very strange throbbing. This was her first time seeing Yi Qian-hun. She had only heard the name God Qian before. Looking at him, he really was handsome. Compared to Yu Yulin, he was countless times more handsome. The most important thing was that she was such a good support. She should form a bottom lane with this kind of godly ADC. That was absolute invincibility. While she was immersed in her fantasy, Yi Qian-hun only left her with his back. They thought that this matter was over, but they never thought that there would be all kinds of news on the forums that night, giving them a large pleasant surprise. At the same time, it also gave the enemy a great shock. Soaring Flame Internet Cafe Tournament. Blazing Flame's loss is unfair. Soaring Flame Internet Cafe cut off Team W's voice chat. It's a pity that they still won. Blazing Flame owes W an apology. Is it that great to have Korean support? These posts about today's tournament had already filled the forums since Yi Qian-hun's group had played on the computers in the lobby. Although there was a line separating them, for such a big matter, the fans and spectators naturally understood. Frog at the bottom of the well. Soaring Flame is funny? They have a bit of fame after doing internet cafe tournaments for so many years, but this time it really stinks. Withered leaves on the ground. It's not just stinks. I feel disgusted when I think of the voice chat being cut off. I really can only open one internet cafe in my life. Ram likes to eat grapes. Can W not participate in this kind of internet cafe tournament in the future? It's too aggrieved. Carrot. Messenger of Peace. God Qian just took off his headset. You fans really are full of drama. A cute little rabbit. Messenger of Peace. Just by looking at the name, you can tell it's a joke. You're about to fight the dragon. Take your headset. Don't you need to communicate? Broken glass shard. Peacemaker. I think you need to have your hearing checked. I was very close to God Qianshan. I could hear the loud sound of electricity. Luo Qingchun casually flipped through the posts on the internet. She had to admit that Team W had a lot of fans. There were even more fangirls led by Yi Qian-hun and Sacrificing Gods. It was comparable to a professional team. Although most of the posts were about the problem with the voice, there were still a few posts that mention her and Yi Qian-hun's actions. Beating heart. Did anyone notice that God Qianshan was super handsome when he was in Dalong? Asterisk carrot asterisk. Little Highness. Yes. This old man's maiden heart, ah. Speaking of which, where did this new mid-laner come from? God Qianshan was full of vigor when facing him. Merry Night. +1. God Qian would never do something like this in the past. He would definitely sell the mid-laner or wait for the support to come before saving him. My heart. +2 to the poster above. Denmark Flower. Upstairs +10,086. Luo Qingchun roughly looked over these posts and found that it was especially warm to have fans. Although these weren't her fans. Chapter 1253. This matter was quite big in the esports circle. The Soaring Flame Internet Cafe's boss had Yi Qian-hun come out to clarify that there was no problem with the voice. It was just the fans thinking too much, otherwise they wouldn't have given them a prize. Not only did Yi Qian-hun directly reject them, he even posted their conversation on the internet. Not only the fans of W, all the players who loved League of Legends exploded on the spot. After all, this matter was just too bad. It couldn't be forgiven at all. In the end, the Soaring Fire Internet Cafe had no choice but to close down due to the negative public opinion. The other team, the Blazing Fire Squad, also became notorious overnight. God Qian, how did you do this? Fatty said in a shocked voice after receiving the money transfer. The Soaring Flame Internet Cafe's boss actually gave us the championship prize. Properly speaking, since the Internet Cafe was closed, there was no face left, so there was no prize money. Soaring Flame is a famous company in the country. They don't just operate internet cafes. Yi Qian-hun's slender fingers quickly tapped on the mouse a few times before saying, other than internet cafes, they also have restaurants and amusement parks. It can be that. Sacrificing gods looked at him, clearly guessing his black-bellied character. His lips curled as he said, "A single complaint to soaring flames' entire company." Unhumph. Yi Qianhun's lips curled into a faint smile as he said, "Why can't I? There's nothing wrong with that." Sacrificing God stroked his silver hair and said, "But this blazing flame has gone far. It will be hard for them to stay in the esports circle in the future." Luo Qingchun heard this and couldn't help thinking of the curses on the internet. According to the previous host's memories of Yu Lin, he was a man with a glass heart who loved esports very much. This time, in order to win, he had asked for help and used all kinds of methods, but he had ended up like this. In the silent room, there was only the sound of him Miao Ling eating an apple and the sound of humming a little song. She was in a good mood. She kept searching for Yi Qianhun in the browser, and his handsomeness really blinded her eyes. "Yushu, the 2 Korean reinforcements have already left. Our battle team has also been banned." Little Critter's honest voice resounded in YY. Yu Lin's mood fell to the bottom. Once upon a time, he had also stood at the peak. He vaguely remembered that their mid-laner was called dust floating in the world. He vaguely remembered that this mid-laner later became his support. As long as she was by his side, he would be invincible and would not have to worry about being killed by his enemies. But now, when he was facing off in the bottom lane, he could only feel that he was killing people all by himself. That so-called support didn't even give him a protective skill. It was truly laughable. He replied softly. "Let's disperse." "Oh, why?" He Miao Ling's delicate voice came from the YY voice chat. She curled her lips and said, "Like this, I can't buy the latest LV bag." He sneered. "Is this bag that important to you?" Chapter 1254. The prize money is indeed divided by 2. Yu Lin gave a cold laugh. His voice was ice-cold to the extreme. Xiaoshou naturally could hear that he was in a bad mood, so it didn't say anything else. After all, it had been with him for all these years, fighting on the path of esports together. It wasn't for this bit of prize money. "That's right," he Miao Ling said with a grin. "Then I can buy a LV bag and a bottle of Chanel perfume. It's a pity." "What's a pity?" "Oh, that's right." He Miao Ling cut Yu Lin off. "I feel that since the prize money belongs to the 2 of us, there's no need to split it and just give it to me. Look at how hard I work as your support. My skin isn't good anymore. It's a pity that the prize money divided by 2 isn't related to you at all." Yu Lin gritted his teeth as he said this word for word in YY. Everyone had a limit in their heart, and he was very clear that he had already reached that limit. He didn't have a trace of patience with He Miao Ling at all. What do you mean?" He Miao Ling was a bit anxious when she heard this, since Yu Lin was indeed a bit strange today. Normally, as long as she cried, he would be very gentle with her. Why did he suddenly change today? "You don't understand the literal meaning?" Yu Lin's eyes had a very cold haze as he said, "Our previous Shanya was right. Don't you know what kind of skills you have? Yu Lin, you want to burn the bridge after crossing the river." He Miao Ling's sharp voice filled the YY room as she angrily roared. "If it wasn't for me, could you have gotten that much prize money? Aren't you embarrassed? Without you, I really could have gotten that much prize money." Yu Lin didn't give her any face as he said in a taunting voice, "No, perhaps it should be said like this. You finally know how important I am. Without you, we can go even further." After that, there was a familiar ding sound. The owner had already asked Exquisite Beauty to leave the YY room. At the same time, there was a message that appeared in the game. Prompt, Captain Jade Tree facing the wind has asked the beautiful girl to leave the team. Luo Qingchun didn't know about this shocking matter until a few days later, because he Miao Ling had posted something on the internet. The name of the post was Blazing Fire Battle Team Captain Monopolizes the Prize Money. Directly asks everyone to leave the battle team after the competition. There were also 2 screenshots of her being kicked out of the YY team and being asked to leave the team. This time, the fire that had already been extinguished by the fire started burning again. The comments on the internet were all praises and criticisms. "Missing your city, damn. How could there be such a person? I heard that the OP was a girl. Too handsome to have friends. That's right, my heart aches for girls. The next time you join our team, I'll take you flying. Summer Firefly. Please, those who have watched Blaze's matches should know. Wasn't this side dish a little too picky? I don't even know how she got the prize money. Bin. Also, I heard that she squeezed out floating in the world. She's the mid laner with super OP skills. Snowman in Winter. I heard about it too. After that, Floating World disappeared without a trace. I guess they've lost track of the game. Luo Qingshun would only look at the posts on the internet before as a spectator, never replying. Chapter 1255. Only playing support without explanation, V certified. Team W's mid laner. You never look when you go out and you've taken one blood every time. You've died countless times and you've never had any assists. I just want to ask, what qualifications do you have to play? Luo Qingshun directly used her main account to reply in the thread, because Yi Qianhun had her register before, so she could get a V-certified team. To be honest, Yu Lin didn't tell the previous host about the V-certified team at all. Now that she thought about it, perhaps he was just using the previous host. Half-World Held Soul, V-certified. Team W's ADC Yun. My mid laner is very right. Luo Qingshun was surprised when she refreshed the page, and the team group immediately remembered. Team Death God Priest. God Qian, what is going on with you? You're actually attacking people with Qingshun. Team Half-World Held Soul. This is called seeking truth from facts. Team Invincible Fatty. Damn. My view of God Qian has completely changed. Didn't you say before that it was better to play a few rounds of rank instead of reading posts? Team Half-World Held Soul. It's different now. Pooh. Luo Qingshun in front of the computer couldn't help curling her lips into a faint smile as a warm feeling filled her heart. Team Death God Priest. But it has to be said, Qingshun's reply is really amazing. This rhyme is good. But speaking of this, why is it different now? Team Half-World Held Soul. When you played before, did you play mid lane or bottom lane more often? Team Death God Priest. Of course, bottom lane. After all, the bottom lane has you. Raising you is equal to victory. Team Half-World Held Soul. But you go mid lane more often than bottom lane. Team Death God Priest. Is that so? Oh, it seems like it. Because raising mid lane is also equal to victory. Team Half-World Held Soul. So it's different now. Team Death God Priest. Because of Luo Qingshun and Yi Qianhun's replies, this special thread that was a bit lively instantly exploded. A group of little fangirls gradually filled with posts and were very excited. Milk Candy, God Qian said that the mid laner was their team's mid laner. Why did I feel a little excited when I heard that? Cold Green. W's double carries are so passionate. Did God Qian give up on sacrifice and choose a new mid laner? Light blue. I think that since the new mid laner and God Qianshun said so, there must be something wrong with this support. Buy one, get two free. The whole post gives me the feeling of a little white flower. Exquisite beauty, V certification. Blazing flame support. What's the meaning of this, W mid laner? I have no enmity with you. So what's the point of scolding me? He Miao Ling, sitting in front of the computer on the other side, was a bit anxious. She wanted to use public pressure to get Yu Lin to give her a bonus, but she never thought that she would pull in W's group. Specialized support without explanation, V certified. Team W's mid laner interesting. Don't you hate that girl called Floating World the most? Why don't I change her name to impress you? Youthful Beauty. Are you King sick? Do you know the Floating World? Do you know what kind of person she is? You don't know anything. What right do you have to side with her and bully me? Asterisk. In that instant, He Miao Ling's name lost its V certification. It seemed like Yu Lin was also reading this post, but she really did do a good job of gaining sympathy. She said how aggrieved she was in between the lines and even added an emoji. Chapter 1256. When Luo Qingshun changed her name from Focus on Support without explanation to Dust Floating in the World, the entire forums exploded. Actually, she just happened to take advantage of an opportunity and rightfully changed back to her original name. Mr. Lu's little fan, my god. W's mid laner changing her name to Dust Floating in the World really is a slap to the face. Stray Cat. Who is dust floating in the world? That year's blooming summer. I also want to ask, buy one get two. She was a mid laner in Blazing Flame for a while and played support. Her skills are very good. I don't know what she looks like, I just know that she's a girl, but she was squeezed out by the little white flower. Asterisk, M. Exquisite beauty? Hee hee. What a joke. What does it matter to me if you change your name? This old lady is too lazy to argue with you idiots. After he Meow Ling sent this, she deleted her post. After that, there were large amounts of W's fans that attacked her. Other than the fans, there was another person that Luo Qingshun never thought of. It was Yu Lin. He sent a post titled, "You are the worst support I've ever seen. There is no other." The content of the post was very simple. It only had a few short lines. It was to explain the matter of the prize money and find a team for himself. Actually, although this jade tree facing the wind doesn't have a good character, his skills are still alright. Sacrificing Gods looked at his profile and said, "It seems like he can reach the 18th rank of the national server." Dita, the most terrifying thing was the sudden silence in the air. "What you all doing?" Sacrificing Gods pulled his silver hair out of habit. Don't professional players always say that there are no absolute enemies in esports? You want to recruit him? Yi Qianhun lazily leaned back in his chair as a faint chill appeared in his starry eyes. Cuckoo. Sacrificing Gods cleared his throat. "My meaning is that if possible, you will lose me." Yi Qianhun looked up with an absolute aura in his eyes. In just 5 words, the priest's idea was killed in the cradle. What did I just say? In the next second, Priest glanced at Luo Qingshun and then at Fatty. No. This time, she and the Fatty spoke at the same time with great tacit understanding. After all, this Yi Qianhun gave people a very cold feeling. Today, I asked you to come to the base to discuss the next step of the plan. Yi Qianhun looked at Luo Qingshun, who was a bit stunned after saying no, and his lips couldn't help curling into a faint smile. He suddenly felt that Luo Qingshun was a little cute like this. Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 40%. What plan? Priest glanced at him and said, "Aren't we mainly playing internet cafe competitions in the first half of the year?" "I've changed my mind." He slowly got up and handed the 4 pieces of paper on his right to them. "I've already signed up for the provincial competition in the first half of the year. I'll be flying to S City in 3 days to enter the preliminaries." What? Oh my God. At this moment, the 4 of them looked at him with shocked eyes. After all, they never thought that Yi Qianhun would make such a big decision. What surprised them even more was that. Chapter 1257. A city wasn't far from S City, but it was still the distance between 2 cities, so they definitely couldn't enter. The bus would take 3 hours, and the provincial tournament would take around a week, so it was impossible for them to go back and forth. Luo Qingshun and her grandma had already agreed to go to the winter camp. Her grandma hadn't gotten used to her short hair yet, so she pushed up her reading glasses with a look of surprise. "So it's Qing." Her lips twitched into an awkward smile as she was speechless. The suitcase was very big, and she had many things. There were milk bottles and jars, design underwear, a few sets of handsome men's clothing, and so on. Her suitcase was filled to the brim in minutes. The next morning, the other 4 male gods in the team only had 1 bag each. As for her, she only had 1 bag and 1 large suitcase. "Brother, are you going to hibernate?" The fatty looked at her large and small bags. "What do you care?" Luo Qingshun raised her brows and said, "This is called being meticulous." Actually, she wanted to say that this was the biggest difference between boys and girls. But when the words came to her mouth, she stopped herself. It's troublesome to live. Sacrificing Gods didn't forget to say this as the final end to this topic. A long journey was always very tiring. The bus was very quiet, and most people were wearing headphones, enjoying their own space. Luo Qingshun sat by the window with her right hand on her cheek, looking at the scenery outside. Yi Qianhun was sitting beside her, wearing a light blue sweater. From time to time, he would look at Luo Qingshun beside him. The sky outside the window was very dark, like there was going to be a storm soon. Facts proved that the storm came faster than expected. There was a rumbling sound that woke everyone up from their dreams. The bus braked, and there was a landslide in front of them. The driver quickly turned the steering wheel, and the bus fell into a large hole. Luo Qingshun felt like the world was spinning between life and death. The person sitting beside her suddenly pulled her to his side with his left hand, firmly protecting her. Ouch! Behind him, the fatty fell to the ground with a loud thud. He roared angrily, "Damn it, you're going to kill me. Are you all right?" Yi Qianhun tightly knit his brows, and even his breathing became a bit fast. Her eyebrows trembled slightly, and the air was filled with a pleasant scent. It was like the first time she smelled a faint fragrance. "No, nothing." Luo Qingshun tried her best to control her breathing. She frowned and asked, "What's wrong?" "It's probably a landslide." Yi Qianhun slowly took back his hand from hers and stood up to look out the window. "It's not just a landslide. The entire car will fell into the big pit." The fat man in the back seat stretched his neck and said, "It's probably hard to get out." As soon as Fatty finished speaking, the driver stepped into the rain and shouted, "Everyone, I'm really sorry. Everyone may have to get out of the car first. If you have the strength to help me push the cart, thank you very much." Luo Qingshun slightly knit her brows. The rain outside was very heavy, and there was a faint chill. Yi Qianhun took out an umbrella and a rain jacket from his bag for her. "Get out of the car with these, it's almost freezing outside." She was a bit surprised as a faint Li Guang appeared in her eyes. She could even hear a bit of care in his voice, as well as the care he gave her. "Thank you." She took the jacket and umbrella as her lips curled into a faint smile. Chapter 1258. He still couldn't resist this kind of smile. It was like a blazing sun in the background of a storm, entering his heart without any warning. She followed behind him and slowly got out of the bus. The heavy rain fell heavily on the umbrella, making the snow boots feel cold in the water. Luo Qingshun held the umbrella as she stood there trembling. Yi Qianhun's group was already pushing the bus in the rain. The cries of 123 mixed with the sound of the rain. This was Luo Qingshun's first time seeing Yi Qianhun standing in the rain like this. The cold rain fell on his face, and those hands that were clicking the mouse 4 times per second were now pushing the bus. He wasn't like Yi Qianhun, who could operate smoothly in front of a computer. He was like the hero in her heart. Although this seemed like a small matter, her lips couldn't help curling slightly. When the bus finally came out of the hole, the storm in the sky gradually turned to snow. The surrounding temperature had already fallen below 0. Achoo! Luo Qingshun, who stood on the side, without helping, gave a sneeze. Her body trembled, and her teeth couldn't help chattering. It seemed like a girl's physique was too lacking compared to a boy's. By the time they arrived in S-City, they were already 7 hours later than they had expected. But the bad luck wasn't over yet. There was a big problem with the hotel. The fatty had booked 3 rooms, 2 standard rooms, and 1 room with a large bed. After all, Luo Qingshun insisted on staying in a single room, and she was willing to pay for the difference. But when they came to the front desk, the staff told them that they only had 2 standard rooms. "Miss, did you make a mistake?" The fatty scratched his head and said, "I really did book 3 rooms." He took out his phone while saying this, but the page on his phone honestly said, 2 standard rooms. "This, sir, it's impossible for us to make a mistake. You booked 2 standard rooms." The staff had a helpless smile as she looked at him. Cough, cough, cough. Luo Qingshun cleared her hoarse throat and said, "Do you still have a room?" If she could pull out the 9-jointed whip from her dimensional pocket, she would have lashed it at Fatty's face without a second thought. "I'm sorry. Because of the weather today, our hotel is full." The waitress shook her head apologetically. "Or we can add another bed for you. Is that okay?" The priest glanced at the time on the wall clock and said, "Anyway, we are all men. Don't worry about it. Just squeeze together when you go out." Luo Qingshun said in her heart that there was nothing wrong with the priest's words on the surface. But the main point was that she was a woman. "I'll share a room with Qingshun." Yi Qianhun's deep eyes had a faint sparkle as he softly said, "After all, I can't sleep in the same room as the fatty." "What?" Luo Qingshun pursed her lips slightly, and her cheeks unconsciously flushed. "Why?" Sacrificing gods was a bit doubtful, because this was his first time going out with the fatty. "That." I... The fatty awkwardly scratched his head as he said with a deep smile, I know. Chapter 12:59. And then it's decided. Yi Qianhun looked at the fatty with a smile that was hard to hide on his lips. Luo Qingshun couldn't help secretly looking at him. This smile really looked good. In a 2101's room, Luo Qingshun poked her head in to take a look before giving a wink. She felt that there was an inexplicable, ambiguous atmosphere spreading in the room. Looking in from the door, it should be considered a luxurious room. There were 2 large beds, a sofa, a computer, and a large TV. What are you looking at? Come in. Qian Yihun looked at her and said, You have more things. Tidy up first. I'm going out for a bit. Luo Qingshun looked at the clock and saw that it was close to dinner, so she casually asked, Where are you going? To see a friend. His answer was very simple, but she felt a strange sense of loss. After all, a girl's sixth sense was very accurate. The person Yi Qianhun was going out to see was definitely a girl. But this was also good. At least if he wasn't here, she could quickly take a shower and change her clothes. She just felt that her head was a bit heavy. S-City was where the provincial tournament was held, and it was also the capital city of S province. The night in the big city was naturally very beautiful. Neon lights were lit at the beginning of the night. At the entrance of Lolita Park, there was a girl wearing a large red coat, a brown hat, and a large pair of sunglasses. Her long hair was slightly curled, she was tall, her lips were flaming red, and she had a strong sense of perfume. Yi Qianhun had his hands in his pocket and under the night sky. His eyes looked deep and beautiful. Yi Qianhun. Feng Wuyu looked at the center of attention not far away and waved her hand. Here, here. Long time no see. He revealed a faint smile, like the two of them had known each other for many years. But actually, they had known each other for many years. What do you want to eat? She looked behind him before looking away with a bit of disappointment. Then she said with a smile, As the host, I'll treat you. I'm afraid the one you want to treat isn't me. Yi Qianhun gave a shrug. Is there a pharmacy nearby? Come take a walk with me. He's sick. Feng Wuyu's eyes trembled, and she pursed her lips. Tell me, why don't you ask him first if I'm sick? Yi Qianhun said with a charming glow in the dark night. Since you're so unwilling, why did you leave back then? Feng Wuyu had been a member of their Team W before being poached by Team Q to become their starting support. Of course, she also had another identity. She was the priestess ex-girlfriend. It's been so many years, I don't care about it anymore. She flipped her hair unnaturally and said, Let's go. I'll take you to the pharmacy. Along the way, they didn't talk much. Yi Qianhun naturally knew that Feng Wuyu just wanted to know how sacrificing gods was doing. After walking around the pharmacy, he bought 2 boxes of cold medicine, a box of fever medicine, and a box of throat candy before Yi Qianhun planned on heading back. I heard that you guys are here for the provincial competition. When they left, Feng Wuyu didn't forget to remind them, You aren't a match for Team Q right now. Unhumph. Yi Qianhun narrowed his eyes and lazily put his hands back in his pocket. They're also planning on playing offline. Chapter 1260. It was already 7:30 when they returned to the hotel. Luo Qingshun had already showered, changed her clothes, and even put on a mask. The 3 men next door were already saying that they wanted to eat, but Yi Qianhun wasn't back yet. Luo Qingshun didn't respond to their roars in the group. King, invincible fatty, damn. The 2 next door are girls, right? Why do they need this long to take a shower? The fatty was about to become thin from hunger. Silver, death god priest. Fatty, you're so noisy. King, invincible fatty. Why are you trash Silver so arrogant? When will you reach king? Silver, death god priest. Probably when I talk as much as you. Brass, forever. King, invincible fatty. Pooh, there's someone with an even lower level. Gold, half-world held soul. What do you want to eat? King, invincible fatty. Damn, there's finally a response. I want to eat meat. Gold, half-world held soul. Gather in the hall in 10 minutes. King, invincible fatty, damn. So long. Actually, Yi Qianhun was already at the door. After knocking on the door twice, Luo Qingshun patted her clothes and opened the door for him. There was a faint perfume smell. It seemed like a girl's sixth sense was right. Yi Qianhun went to see a girl tonight. Here, He gave her the cold medicine. Drink this first. It should be better. She was slightly taken aback. Her chest, which had been a little stuffy just now, instantly felt very comfortable. Not to mention him bringing cold medicine for her, just him noticing that she had a cold was a very warm thing. It was just a small matter like this that made her feel Yi Qianhun's charm. She took the cold medicine and shook it. Thank you. As soon as his voice fell, he headed to the bathroom with a pot of boiling water. 10 minutes later, she finished drinking the cold medicine and stuck out her tongue with a bitter expression. He raised his right hand and put a lozenge in her hand. Here, knock, knock, knock. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 people in the room next door couldn't hold back the screams of their stomachs and came knocking on their door. Yi Qianhun opened the door, and the fatty pretended to be dizzy as he said, God Qian, God Qian, God Qian Qian. Please take pity on a fatty like me. If I don't eat, I'll feel dizzy and can't even walk. The shaman who was standing behind him wanted to say something to the fatty, but in the next second, his nose twitched and his brows furrowed. Then he said in a low voice, You went to see her? These short words caused the surrounding atmosphere to fall into absolute awkwardness. Even the usually expressionless and taciturn support, Bai Yong, revealed a strange expression. Yi Qianhun softly replied with a nod. Traitor. The priest snorted and left without saying anything else. The fatty awkwardly looked at sacrificing God's back before looking at Yi Qianhun. He scratched his head and said, The her he's talking about, it can't be. Feng Wuyu, right? It was still a soft reply, but this time he couldn't help looking at Luo Qingshun. Luo Qingshun was stunned as the word cannon fodder on the bronze mirror flashed in her mind. Feng Wuyu, Feng Wuyu, Feng Wuyu. It was her. Her side mission was her. She had been confused before. Why didn't the side mission appear this time? Chapter 1261. Luo Qingshun thought that the night would end like this, but she never thought that at midnight, sacrificing gods would send a message in the group. Silver, death god's priest. What do you say? Have a drink with this brother. King, invincible fatty. Barbecue, barbecue, meat, meat, meat. Gold, half-world held soul. Let's go. Silver, dust floating in the world. Okay. Brass forever. All right. 15 minutes later, the group arrived at a midnight dining hall near the hotel. There weren't many people, but there weren't few either. It was a very stylish wine house. Didn't we say we were going to eat barbecue? The fatty looked a bit aggrieved. Luo Qingshun looked at his fat face and couldn't help revealing a smile. Yi Qianhun had already picked up the menu and looked over it. A cup of warm milk, a portion of foie gras and beef sushi, a bowl of foie gras steamed, and a cheese tamarind. My God, God Qian, are you really here to drink with me? Sacrificing gods revealed a death god's face as he looked at him with a bit of anger. For Qingqin, as soon as his voice fell, he gave the menu to the fatty. There's barbecue. You can order it yourselves. Sacrificing gods was too lazy to look at the menu as he called the waiter. Give me a bottle of sake first, and then a bottle of plum wine. All right. The waiter's voice was very sweet. Luo Qingshun turned to look, and it was actually a great beauty. The fatty had ordered quite a bit of barbecue, around 30 skewers. He was eating very energetically by himself. Luo Qingshun only ate the dishes that Yi Qianhun ordered for her. It had to be said that his eyes for food weren't bad. He could even choose something that tasted this good. She was already half full after a few bites. Sacrificing gods was also half drunk at this time. You're wearing the perfume she usually uses. He gave 2 bitter laughs. A few strands of silver hair fell onto his eyelashes as he said with trembling eyes, I can smell it with a single sniff. Team Q is also participating in the provincial tournament. Yi Qianhun drank the cup on the table in one gulp. We should meet them in the qualifiers. What did you say? Sacrificing gods' eyes popped out, clearly not expecting Yi Qianhun to bring him this kind of news. Wait. Fatty quickly swallowed the meat in his mouth and said, Is the starting support? Yes. Yi Qianhun nodded. His eyes fell onto Bai Yong, and he asked, How do you think their support compares to yours? Bai Yong was a bit surprised, as if he never thought that Yi Qianhun would suddenly ask him this. His brows slightly knit as he said, I've seen the video. Her awareness and control aren't bad. She's a top support. Your evaluation of her is really high. The priest sneered and looked at the fatty. Give me a cigarette. That thing you quit? The fatty was a little nervous. Just as he was hesitating whether to give it to him, the shaman had already violently snatched it. He lit it, and after taking a deep breath, he muttered with a bitter smile, There are some things that can't be quit. The story of that year was very long, but it was the deepest memory they left for each other. At that time, esports wasn't a national game like it was now, and the teams back then were very poor. Unless they relied on their families, if they wanted to play outside, it was impossible. But their group persisted. Chapter 1262. At that time, Feng Wuyu, who was a girl, was Yi Qianhun's support. Regardless of whether it was the maneuvering or the positioning of the eyes, everything was done very meticulously. The Feng Wuyu of that year couldn't be compared to the current He Miaoling because they weren't on the same level at all. Feng Wuyu could cut her shoulder-length hair into a boy's hair in order to spend more time on practice. For the sake of esports, she was willing to cut off her fingertips for a year just so that she could operate better after the team battle. That kind of Feng Wuyu made sacrificing gods strangely admire her. When they won the first internet cafe tournament, when he was planning on confessing to her, she confessed first. If I say that I like you, can you come to the bottom lane to catch people in the future? I will always catch the bottom lane. That was how they expressed their love and how they accepted it. When Luo Qingshun heard this, her lips couldn't help twitching. This was also fine, but the good times didn't last. After all, without any funding, it became harder for the team. Half a year later, Feng Wuyu left the team without a word. She left behind a sum of money when she left, a total of 100,000. She disappeared without a trace and appeared in front of everyone half a year later as Team Q's starting support. Feng Wuyu would never know that on the night she left, sacrificing gods took her 100,000 to the Huangpu River and threw it all down. The next day, he went home to ask his father for 1 million to fund the team. That youth who wanted to rely on himself to achieve his dream lowered his head to his father again because of a woman. I'm sure everyone can guess what happened next. Sacrificing gods was already smoking his third cigarette, and he didn't forget to insult Yi Qianhun while saying this. If it wasn't for you not coming home to ask for money, would I need to go back to ask for it? I don't have a place to use money. Right. How could someone who has been alone for 10,000 years have a place to use money? Other than Feng Wuyu, their team was all rich. The fatty was the same, and the mid-laner who went abroad to study was also the same. Only Feng Wuyu never knew. So Team W went smoothly because of this 1 million. Luo Qingshun took a sip of her milk as she held the cup to keep warm out of habit while asking this. Yi Qianhun looked at her as he gave his jacket to her for 100 years. We were just lacking sponsorship, but with money and strength, naturally everything went smoothly. But don't you think it's strange? Luo Qingshun pursed her lips. Why did Feng Wuyu have 100,000? Because of the signing fee. Priest raised his eyebrows and extinguished the cigarette in his hand. He drank another glass of wine before slowly saying, I heard that Team Q gave her a signing bonus of over 1 million. She probably felt guilty towards us and gave us 100,000. I don't think Xiao Wu is that kind of person. Fatty lowered his head and said, although I am very disappointed in her. After all, they had struggled together when they had nothing. That kind of time could not be replaced by many years later. Chapter 1263. On the way back at night, Luo Qingshun was a bit anxious. The system seemed to have given her a side mission. Help cannon fodder Feng Wuyu find true love. But this cannon fodder's ex-boyfriend was the death god priest. This mission's setting was a bit harsh. The wind on the bridge was very strong, and there was even a bit of snow in the sky. They walked in front, and she and Yi Qianhun walked behind them. Why did you want to play professionally? His voice was very soft, but there was a gentleness that couldn't be heard. Luo Qingshun looked at him in his moon-white sweater and said with a soft laugh, exciting. She wasn't the previous host, so she couldn't tell why the previous host chose to play. Perhaps it was because it was fun at first, but later it was because of Yu Lin. I've asked Xiao Wu this question before. Yi Qian-hun slowly opened his mouth like he was hinting at something before saying, "She told me that it was because it was very special." Special? She said that was very special for girls to play this game. At that moment, Luo Qingshun could only hear the wind and her strong heartbeat in her ears. 5 seconds later, her lips twitched and she touched her ear out of habit. I feel that what she said is very reasonable. To be honest, she was a bit doubtful that Yi Qian-hun already knew her identity. Oh no, it should be her gender. When he returned to the room, he didn't come out naked after taking a shower. This action didn't match the logic of two boys in a room. Luo Qingshun was half leaning on the bed, and there was a faint lemon scent in the air. She didn't know if it was because of the wind or some other reason, but she felt that her face was a bit hot. Do you know why I don't share a room with the fatty? Yi Qian-hun poured a cup of water for her before slowly crawling into bed. Luo Qingshun took the cup and tightly held it. Her eyes trembled as she said, "Didn't sacrificing God say that he snores and grinds his teeth? What does that count for?" Yi Qian-hun's lips curled into a beautiful curve. He can sleepwalk, and his sleepwalking is even more serious in unfamiliar places. At first, Luo Qingshun thought that Yi Qian-hun was just joking since sleepwalking was just walking around the room at night her eyes. Unexpectedly, Fatty opened his backpack and took out a pair of scissors. Sitting in front of the others in the same room, he narrowed his eyes and said darkly, "Cut, cut, cut. Cut them all off." Since the shaman was wearing earplugs at the beginning, he didn't hear what Fatty said. It wasn't until the Fatty's scissors started to cut his hair that he suddenly woke up. Then, he let out an earth-shattering scream. Ah, holy shit. Of course, Luo Qingshun only heard about this matter the next morning from the sacrificing gods who had dark circles under his eyes. "Could it be that you're dreaming and accusing me?" The fat man looked a little aggrieved. After all, the priest described him as too abnormal and terrifying. He couldn't accept himself like this. He definitely isn't exaggerating. Yi Qian-hun took a sip of his coffee and softly said, "When I went north with you a few years ago, you were holding a fruit knife in front of my bed to peel an apple. You kept saying, 'Cut, cut, cut all off. Cut it all off.'" Damn, Yi Qian-hun. No wonder you said that you don't share a room with the fatty. So you knew. Sacrificing gods angrily looked at him. "I don't care. I want to share a room with Qingshun tonight. The three of you can share a room." Chapter 1264. Luo Qingshun looked over and met Yi Qian-hun's deep eyes. There were times when she couldn't describe the person in front of her. He was domineering when he should be domineering, handsome when he should be handsome, warm when he should be warm, and black-bellied when he should be black-bellied. In short, there was a feeling that the person in front of her didn't have an absolute personality, but he had a charm that people couldn't look away from. There was a very comfortable feeling when she was with him, like the other side would think ahead of time, no matter what happened. He wouldn't give you any pressure and would only leave you relaxed. "What?" Sacrificing gods pointed at his hair and said, "To be honest, if it wasn't for my good luck, he would have cut my hair. Yesterday, he was kind enough to cut off my hair and not my artery. Otherwise, you would have to go to hell to see me today." Fatty probably isn't used to the sudden change in environment. Yi Qian-hun looked at sacrificing gods and said, "It should be fine today. I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it." Sacrificing gods firmly shook his head. "I've said it 3 times. It means I really don't want it." Fatty had a depressed look as he ate the boiled egg in front of him. "I'll get a room with a large bed myself." "Humph. I think it's fine. It's a pity," Yi Qian-hun said. "There aren't any rooms in the hotel today. They'll only be available tomorrow." "Then I'll go to your room tonight." Sacrificing gods looked at him with a serious look. "I can add an extra bed." "Impossible." "Why?" "Because..." He looked at his watch before softly saying, "I'm not willing." Of course, no matter what sacrificing gods said, Yi Qian-hun didn't agree to adding an extra bed. After all, whoever opened the room had the right to use it. Because of Yi Qian-hun's cruel rejection, sacrificing gods didn't forget to mutter on the way to the stadium. Are you letting me sleep or not?" "No. I'll send you off if you don't let me." "All right." Yi Qian-hun flipped through his laptop as he typed out the schedule for him. "But I have to remind you that our first match is against Team Q. In that instant, the shaman had completely tossed the matter of the fatties sleepwalking to the back of his mind. He quickly looked at the competition schedule. His thick eyebrows unconsciously wrinkled, and his thin lips slightly pursed. It's really a narrow path. So you still plan to get it to me? Yi Qianhun's lips curled as he handed him another piece of paper. Moreover, Team Q has changed their ADC this time. Oh, Priest blinked and said, wasn't their ADC called Caesar when they were playing online? Yes. Yi Qianhun narrowed his eyes as he looked at Bai Yong with a deep gaze. After half a second, he looked back at sacrificing gods. This person hasn't appeared in a long time. I check his game account, and he hasn't logged in for a long time. Caesar is such a strong ADC. It's such a pity for him to give up on his career path. Fatty didn't forget to participate in the discussion while eating potato chips. Whether we give up or not is another matter. Yi Qianhun took out a pen from his bag and drew a line where Team Q's ADC was. You must be familiar with their starting ADC. As soon as his voice fell, everyone looked over. After 3 seconds, everyone was simultaneously stunned.